cappuccino.
And
oregano. Why you left South Korea?
What is going? And then when I tell my friends in Korea that I have a Korean fried chicken restaurant in Kazakhstan, they were like, what?
They imagine you working.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh my God, man, you go there and open the Korean fried chicken restaurant? Because it's like in Korea, anyone can open, but you open to struggle. But it's like very different.
This time we had Chihoon Jeong, entrepreneur with a lot of different businesses here in Almaty and Bishkek. Chihoon, what did we discuss?
We discussed a lot of things. Crazy conspiracy theory. I'm just kidding.
This was part of it, yeah.
Yeah, we talk about how Korea is different from Kazakhstan.
Why you left Korea.
Exactly, why I left Korea, why I came to Central Asia, why I decided to open food and beverage business, and art, fashion, modeling.
Chihoon shared advice on how to open a successful restaurant. He gave introduction to coffee 101, what coffee to pick and how to think about it. We discussed the influence of Korean culture and what the secrets behind its success and the sort of why Korean economy had such a tremendous growth in the past 70 years. Chihoon also shared his vision for many different companies he's building at the moment. We had a fun, multicultural episode. Will be fun for people in business, fashion, art, and who loves coffee as well, correct? Go watch your episode. Hello everyone, yet another episode of N Factorial Podcast. Today our guest is Chihoon Jeong. He's an entrepreneur, founder of Flask Coffee, Chickenstar, modeling business agency called Bust Entertainment, and many other businesses he's starting. Chihoon, welcome to the program.
Hello, my name is Chihoon. Nice to meet you. I'm glad to be here.
Wonderful. Yeah, it's been a while. I tried to catch you back in February or March, but you're always traveling. But on that note, how many trips do you typically have per week on average?
Well, per week, no,
or per month?
Not that often. So, but pretty much almost every month.
Every month.
Yeah, almost every month.
You're traveling internationally typically.
Internationally, or even like Bishkek. So Bishkek like 2 times a month, something. Yeah.
One of the things we are sort of trying to experiment with is to start our conversations with a bang, sort of like boom. What's sort of a nice way? A lot of things we would like to discuss today. We'll discuss how to. We'll do a sort of introduction to coffee 101. You'll share your experiences, how to start a food or restaurant business from zero, ground up.
Yeah.
All the questions might be very useful for potential entrepreneurs in the audience. We'll discuss sort of your passion in art and fashion and travel, tango, ballet, many different things. But we would like to start with very basic questions, which is: you lived in Korea, South Korea. You lived in Kazakhstan.
Yeah.
What are the basic differences between those two countries?
Well, that's really big question, but also very interesting. And there's so many differences and so many similarities. Well, like basically the Korea is very small country, like I don't know how many times smaller than Kazakhstan. I mean, Kazakhstan is the 9th biggest country in the world. I think Korea is one of the smallest country in the world, but we have about 54 million population only in South Korea. The biggest differences I would say is the level of competition. In Korea is insane. It's just thankfully I grew up in a rural area, so I didn't have that pressure. But a lot of kids who grew up in the city, they have no, their private life. They just, you're age of 4 and you start going to the institutes or where to learn from like 7 a.m. till like 11 p.m. Or typically like you were born and then automatically you became a competitor. You have to compete. Like all the questions like how can I get better than the other guy? Or like this is the constantly on your shoulder. And then the rankings like, okay, like are you students? And then what's your rank? You're number 1, number 2, number 3. That's a very important question.
And everyone knows what rank they are, and
exactly.
The rank of the neighbor and everyone.
Yeah, everyone knows it, and that's what the moms are sharing. My son is number 3, and why you're number 3? My friend's son is like number 1. When can you get there? And yeah, that's the amount of the pressure to be successful. Like you have to be successful. That kind of pressure in South Korea is insane. The competition is just crazy. Whereas in Kazakhstan, it's a bit more
Laid back, yeah.
Yeah, it's very laid back. Maybe one of the reasons I really like here because I don't have to really compete. I don't have to be in a fighter mode, all the time,
Yeah.
Although in Kazakhstan there's a really nice good fighters actually, actual fighting, but in the battle in life, Korea is crazy competition.
Where do you think it's coming from? Like this sort of desire to compete and.
I think if you see the history of South Korea, Korea is that last thousands of years, Korea had always been invaded by the back in the days, this former China, the countries in Chinese continent right now, or we are on the Japanese colony for 36 years. So we always get attacked by the neighboring countries like this. So that we had to protect ourselves. In Korea, there's one term that I think no other country has it. It's called Han. That's like a really deep agony and sorrow. That because of this, you have motivation to fight back or survive. I don't know how to translate exactly, but in Koreans' mindset, they have this kind of thing. So they ultimately always want to overcome the challenges. Yeah, and then and also the level of the society, and then there is no natural resources in South Korea, and then after Korean War, everything is destroyed. So basically we're poorer than one of the poorest country in the entire world. We're poorer than the Philippines or even North Korea. So we received a lot of aids from UN.
This is sort of early 50s or even before that?
Like 50s, 60s. So, how do you think, let's say 1945 is the end of World War II, which is also Korea's independence year. And 2015 is 70 years later. The GDP economically, do you know how many times
it grew?
In Peru?
I have no idea.
Just guess.
I don't know. Let's say 100.
According to the statistics, it says that 31,000 times.
31,000 times. Crazy.
31 times. So basically, if you think about my father's generation, he was born in 1953. It's right after, actually, Korean War finished in July 1953. He was born in August 1953. So he's like a baby boomer generation first. And he grew up receiving aid. So it's a single generation. I think it's the only country in the entire world that within a generation, the country became from the country who received aid from UN to become a country that will give aid to the other countries.
Unbelievable.
That's the only country I think of it, as far as I know.
So your dad has seen it all in the past 7 years. So what has been the rise and what sort of, if we take sort of a history lesson, so the Second World War is over, sort of Korea is getting the aid from UN. What is the strategy? How do you get back on track?
So I think people were my father, when he was growing up, had no food, and he was telling me the story that, he didn't have any shoes. So back in the days, they wear the rubber shoes. So even he has only that pair of shoes, only one. But then when he goes to school, when somebody's around, he would wear them. When no one is around, he would took them off and then just walking barefoot to save it, to wear them a long time. And then he would looking at, like, maybe somebody dropped some coin on the street. Sometimes he walked like 2-3 kilometers to find some coins on the street to get some candy. So, and then almost everybody in his generation, when they were young, they started working when they're like, my great uncle started working when he was 10. Like he literally left his home at 10 and I went to the city and started working. no kids working at 10.
And did he stay in the city for the night as well?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He was sleeping
Since then, yeah.
Crazy.
He left and he was delivering this, I think it's the wood in the city or cement, whatever it is. He was, that's what the kids can do. They're like, you're just helping people to carry something. And that's their generation. But there is also, we had long military dictatorship. So the society is very oppressed by the
60s? Or
yeah, from 56 or I don't exactly remember, but there is the military dictator came out, and for about like 56 to late 90s, basically 3 military guys was the president.
Gotcha.
The longest one is 26 years. And then, but during the time, I think he was a dictator. He did a lot of bad things to the people. He was the kidnapped people and he killed people, la 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 la. But one thing that what's happening is that the economic growth was significant during the time because he protected the market, the Korean markets. He realized that only way for us to survive in the future is to cultivate the people and invest on people. And specifically education and working really, really hard and export because Korea has no natural resources, but we have the oceans is on 3 sides of our country, so you can export anything. So basically that's their strategy. So my father told me that when I was young, he's telling his story when he was young. And the government and the government propaganda is they come to you and working at the factory, they're asking you like, are you happy? Like, how's your life? I was like, miserable, isn't it? Yes, it's very miserable. You're working 14, 16 hours a day. And then their tactic is very simple. Like, do you want your kids to live this life? I say, no, then work hard. That's their like motivation, like kind of fear, because in Korea it's very much like family-oriented society. I mean, it's very similar to Kazakhstan, also in Central Asia. Family is very important, but in Korea, it's like their ultimate goal is that my life is miserable, my life is really terrible, but I don't want my kids to live like me.
Delayed gratification, sort of. I'm passing along.
Exactly. So that's why like a lot of poor families in South Korea back in the days, like. That's why, in Korea, like your parents always ask you to be a doctor, lawyer, professor, because this is the like really specific profession that your entire family, like from very poor to the another level. Like with a business, it's quite difficult. You can fail, but once you become a doctor, once you become a lawyer,
very
once you become a
job.
professor, like very stable, respected, and then good income, they can lead the entire family to the another level. That's why everybody in Korea, like still the doctors, lawyers, all these things are most prestigious profession in South Korea because you only need to study really, really hard. And then you just get into the right university and then you just pass the exam, then you save entire family.
Yeah.
So I think that's, and like people like there is a like movement called Semaul. I think it's somehow they export this idea to Central Asia, and then it's not as popular as because the context is very different. But back in the days, they literally like government to like mandate, they like mandatorily did this movement, and then they said they don't how to say give a lot of child. They say just give it 2 kids.
Okay, so basically limiting the number of kids.
Exactly.
No more than 2.
Not legally, but they encourage people not to give a lot of children. Then you're burden because you cannot work. You have to raising the kids, too many kids. So and perfectly like my father, after my parents, they gave birth to me and my sister, and then they stopped. Like basically didn't like so. Like long story short, it's extremely poor country, but they have extreme desire to
Succeed.
to succeed, to live really, really well. And then one of the also, when you have a rival, you can always, develop yourself really fast, as a fighter or as a soccer player, like, Ronaldo, Messi, because their rivalry, they both become like greatest of all time. Same in South Korea. I grew up all the time I heard about Japan. Like Japan is the second richest country back then, the second largest economy. We are like, they're like number 30, I don't know. But it's so funny. Like all the time my teacher told me that we should be better than Japan. We should beat them. We should so even like, you're using the pen, when we were using, there's a Japanese company, it's like Pilot, it's a really famous brand.
I remember.
And then it's really good. It's much better. I mean, it's like 2 times, 3 times expensive, but you can use like maybe 5, 6 times longer than Korean brand. So if I buy this one, and then their word pressure, like, oh, why do you use a Japanese pen? Like they are promoting Korean pen, and and then that's one thing. And when I was young, if you have a Sony TV, you're like from very rich family.
Yeah.
If you have a Samsung and LG, like you're poor. But now it's the opposite. I think it's one of the tactics that government was using is that, okay, we need to really protect the market.
I want to just add really quick sort of a personal anecdote. You were telling me sort of the Korean view of the story. When I was doing my homestay in Japan, I lived in, so I had host parents, and so it's really funny. Every morning, I used to always have breakfast with them at exactly the same time, 7 a.m., and it would be a morning show. And that day, I think it was famous Korean singer arrived in Tokyo. I might, if I recall correctly, Chung Geun-suk, I think his name.
Chung Geun-suk.
Chung Geun-suk, yeah. He was mobbed by Japanese fans, and sort of my host mom was a big fan. So she's like, this is one. So she loved Korean culture. But same day, there was news that Pyeongchang won the right to host the Winter Olympics.
Yeah.
My host dad was extremely sad that Korea got the Olympics, and now he had his reasoning. Well, first of all, obviously he sort of Japan versus Korea part 1. Part 2 is that now, because they're hosting it in Korea, the next Summer Olympics will be less likely to be held in Japan, because Tokyo was competing for 2020.
Right.
And sort of, I saw that sort of rivalry even with that small household.
Yes, it is there. And then that's why especially the soccer, everyone loves football here too, right? So when there's a soccer game in Korea versus Japan, it was war. Literally, like everybody. And that's the thing that I realized, that it's kind of like, it's very patriotic. It's not really, I wouldn't say but it's very patriotic. It's not really nationalistic, but it's very patriotic. People really want to contribute to their country. So in Korea, for example, in late 1990s, there's the Asian economic crisis. So we were also controlled by IMF. We didn't have enough dollars in the country. Then what people did, there's a movement, the entire Korea, even my mom participated in it. Oh my God, Korea got in trouble. Our country got in trouble. We gotta help. So what did they do? They collect all their gold from their wedding ring, and they're like, because in their like shelves, the Korean people, they gather all their gold, and then they intentionally sold to the governments. The government, they sold it to outside of countries so they can get dollars. So it's really fast to overcome this IMF. I think it's one of the fastest country who actually graduate from this IMF program.
This was which period?
This is like 1998.
1998.
Yeah,
it's pretty recent.
Yeah, very recent.
So basically, through that program, you were able to sort of reduce your dependency on IMF, or.
So what IMF does is like, I'm not a big fan of IMF, but what they do is just they control your economy. For example, like, why you have the Samsung has a car company, Hyundai has a car company, like why? Just why don't you become just one country? Like a lot of M&As. So they tell the government. So basically they optimize the economy. But by doing that, it's efficiency. But like IMF borrows money to lends money to the country to do all these kind of things. But
So basically, they lend you money, but they control the end use. You have to use that money to do exactly what IMF wants.
exactly. So you're controlled. You're controlled.
Got it.
Yeah,
And so, in order to reduce that dependency, the government asked for the help from the people of Korea.
The government didn't ask. But the people like voluntarily, like we gotta do this. We gotta do that.
Crazy.
So yeah, because we needed dollars in the Korean bank. Okay, what should we do? The easiest way is to collect all the golds and let's sold to the Korean banks. They can sell to the outside of countries. They can get the USD. So because that crisis specifically happened because we didn't have enough.
Oh,
USD.
this is 98. This is Asian. Got it. I remember.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, this is kind of, I think it's a crazy time when I was growing up, like that competitiveness. So, and then one of the interesting thing is in Korea that we really truly believe that in Korea, like nothing is impossible. And even we're really poor, constantly teachers, everybody, they're really telling you that, hey, like in the future, Korea will rule the world. Like, I don't know why they said that. It was really funny. Like in later, Korea will rule the world. We're the smartest people on earth. And then even though it's not, they just keep like telling you so you can believe it. So you can really, really work hard. And that was I remember I grew up like always hearing this part. And of course, government really protected the market. For example, we didn't have Nokia because they, like, I don't know if you read the book about the Bad Samaritans or something.
I haven't.
It's a crazy book. It was telling that we are in the free trade world, but free trade, it was, like United States, all the developed countries said, oh, let's do free trade. Like you don't have to produce the car. You have corn. I buy corn from you. You buy a car from me. But then that's only good for the developed country, not for developing country. When this developed country was developing back in the days, they protect their market.
Right.
So that's why they say it's the bad Samaritans, from the Bible. So in Korea was exactly the same. Without the government protecting South Korea, there would be no Samsung, Hyundai, and all the big companies now, because the government gave them time to grow, develop. So they be sustainable in the domestic market before competing in the world stage. So, and how the government put a lot of taxes and a lot of documents so that Nokia or GM or Toyota, they couldn't really come to the market. So that was their tactic, economically, the government tactic.
And this sort of existed till what period?
I think it's...
was it lifted like recently, like a few decades ago? Like
it happened until like... I remember I was reading the article when I was in high school. It's back in late 90s or early 2000. Even that time, I read a lot of articles about how it's difficult to invest in South Korea. Mm-hmm. But now it's opposite. It's very easy to invest. It's very open.
Please come.
Because now you come, we can compete,
Correct.
Come. Like, I trained enough.
Exactly.
I'm triple G. I'm not afraid of anybody.
That's a good point. Yeah. I trained for 40 years.
Exactly.
Yeah, I can
so
compete.
Yeah. Love it. That's
how do you make sure that that when you protect your economy from sort of foreign imports, the local companies sort of don't get weak and don't get complacent? Is it because there's an internal competition?
Yeah, so there is a domestic competition. For example, the government will give a lot of the financial benefits to these companies if you become number one or something like that. There's inside competition. And also for these companies, there's a great opportunity. Okay, so this foreign company will not come. So there's a great chance for me to be number one. Then later I can compete in the world. Then it also encourage people to compete inside. Mm-hmm. Because if you become number one, you basically become dominant in the market. So
one more thing I remember you telling me about, which I find fascinating, is the fact that at some point, when those companies became really big, the government forced them to export their goods by limiting the percentage of income they're making internally in Korea. So like Samsung had to go out because I don't know what, let's say only 10% has to be coming from, only 10% of their revenue has to be coming from South Korea. Tell us more about that initiative.
Can you say that again? I didn't get it.
So basically, like now you sort of filled your local market with local products.
Yeah.
And Samsung is amazing. You have Hyundai, you have LG, you have all these great companies. Now, how do you force them out? How do you force them to the US, to Japan, to Southeast Asia? How do you force them to compete there?
So basically, then once you become big in the internal market, it's the next thing is that the world is bigger than South Korea. South Korea is a very small country, so the market is a lot bigger. So I think is in Korea they really encourage any companies to export, and then they give like prizes to those companies who achieve this like $1 million export. For example, like even small companies, if you're a small enterprise, you export more than, I think not now, but back in the days, they're like $1 million a year, for example, and then they invite you to the president's the palace, and then give you a prize, and then they promote you in Korea. They tell everyone in the media or everybody that this guy is the real Korean, like patriotic, like person who actually did a lot of good things to our country by exporting these items. How much these things are like, and also like these are also, and also government, they give for example, as a Korean Air. Korean Air was not the airline company before. It was just a logistic company, and they're extremely successful. They have a lot of cash in the company. And then there's a military dictator president back in the days. And then there's a airline. The government company was like dying because of the mismanagement and all those things, like losing a lot of money. And then this dictator, this president, came to this company's owner, and they ask him to come into the office and say, you got to buy this company. And then they're like, no, I cannot. I mean, this is the like a express way to get bankrupt. I was like, no, I think you can save this company. So he didn't voluntarily bought this company, but he had to buy. And then he bought it. It made it very successful. So like this is what government give a lot of companies the pressure to do something for, and so there were companies actually who listened to the government really well. They become very successful because the government gave them a lot of benefits. But there are actually the companies also refused to cooperate with the government, who was like literally bankrupt. One of the biggest companies was bankrupt during this military dictatorship. So, like you have to be pro-government and to be successful. And if you're not, then they can just, I don't know, let you close your door.
Yeah. How easy is it to start a business in Korea right now?
Now is super easy. You just, one day you can register a company online.
And it's sort of like you have e-gov kind of system.
You
go online.
Yeah.
Bam, bam.
It's very easy.
Yeah.
Very easy.
But then when you open one, how do you make sure that you're not out of business in 6 months?
That's a good question. I think there's a lot of people actually go out of business.
Yeah. How do you compete in such a competitive market where everyone is working 16 hours a day?
It's crazy. Like I see, for example, like I have a Chickenstar, right?
Yes.
Let me tell you, okay, in the entire world, there's a 35,000 McDonald's.
Correct.
Around that number. Only in South Korea, Korean fried chicken places are around 70,000.
70,000.
Yeah, something like that.
I mean, I remember I used to go to a lot of sort of Korean fried chicken places in New York.
Yeah.
Really popular there.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. So Korean fried chicken is so popular. And because it's one of the easiest to business to start, because you become usually franchisee of the big company, and then they do everything for you. Then you just pay money, and then but then but you cannot afford hiring any other people. Just you and your wife work every day.
Yeah.
And then maybe you barely make, I don't know, $3,000 a month or something. It's very hard business. The reason I'm telling this is because in Kazakhstan is the opposite, like restaurant businesses are normally owners, they never work at the restaurant.
We never show up.
Yeah. You have a manager, you have waiters, blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
So, and then when I tell my friends in Korea that I have a Korean fried chicken restaurant in Kazakhstan, they were like, what?
Why are you here? How can you do it?
Yeah. I was like, they was like,
they imagine you working.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh my God, man, you go there and open the Korean fried chicken restaurant? Because it's like, in Korea, it's just like, anyone can open, it's like, but you open to struggle, but it's like very different. It's like, these kind of things are.
What's the startup culture in Korea like? Like, what about starting tech companies? We have Naver, you have some like Kakao Talk. What is it like? Is it more common for the youngsters to join big companies like Samsung, or there's a sort of increasing number of people starting their own companies in tech space?
Actually, Korea now became one of the most, I think, dynamic startup like environment in Asia. I think it's a lot better than Japan in terms of starting the startups and finding investments. It's very common now. Before like you work at the Samsung, you are like, we are very successful men.
You stay there for 50 years.
Exactly. But now, like people like laid off when they're early 40s. And so that's not really attractive job. Instead of like people are doing a lot of startups. And I have a lot of friends who is actually in that doing startups. It's very easy, relatively very easier to find money. So now it's very easy to start. Of course, you have to deal with the competition as well. But if you are doing it, and then I think, it's very easy. There's a lot of, the money's there. It's not as easy as in the United States or something, but in Asia, in Korea, there are a lot of like tech giants start coming out. Not only in the IT, but like beauty, fashion, like content production. So a lot of companies, a lot of startups, like new companies are coming out. Like for example, especially the like film industry or like the content production industry, is a lot of new companies coming out. Whereas in the United States, like you have Warner Brothers, Sony, it's impossible for you to compete against them. But in Korea, it's relatively easier.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
No. I was just looking up a company for like, I forgot the name, Coupang, like
Coupang,
biggest IPOs and
in New York,
in New York Stock Exchange. Yeah, I remember reading the sort of the long piece about the company, sort of how they sort of vertically integrated e-commerce. They have their own fulfillment centers. They kind of, you can order something at which is very common among Korean families. Order something at midnight, the diapers and milk, and then 6 a.m. it's already at your doorstep. It's sort of logistics is all owned by them, and just a interesting story.
Their business model is basically, when they started it, I remember when they started it, they openly said this, like, we are not gonna make money. They said our role model is Amazon.
Yeah.
So we're gonna lose money. So I think that gave people like kind of like, oh wow, I can trust them. They're willing to give you the best deal, the best experience. Wow, they openly said that. So I think I don't know if whether they said it intentionally or not, but that really worked. So people are like, okay, this guys is not gonna make money, but they give a really fast delivery and everything. They keep investing. Okay, let's use their service.
Yeah.
So
you mentioned beauty. It was another company I remember, Mimibox. I think they became a sort of subscription e-commerce business, sort of in cosmetic space. They went through Y Combinator and then moved to open their business in the US. I had sort of a friend who worked there for some time. So kind of Korean beauty is an export right now. It's actually a thing. Like everyone follows it.
Exactly.
The cosmetics and other things as well. Interesting. So basically, the main takeaways are: work hard, protect your economy, very hard, very easy to list, but hard to copy. Working hard is really
Working
hard.
hard is very. I mean, what's the standard? Okay, what do you mean working hard?
Yeah.
Is it 10 hours work? Can be 10 hours working hour, 16 hours working hour. But I think is the working hard means in South Korea is that you just do it until you get it.
Yeah.
So so basically there's a joke in Korea how to put elephant into the refrigerator.
It's a joke. How do you place an elephant inside the refrigerator?
Yeah.
Okay, let me imagine I'm Korean. Then I'll probably push it until it fits. No.
That's a good point. But that explains their work ethic.
Is it
also,
correct?
That also the relationship in the company. So the answer is ask your secretary. So what do you mean? They will do it anyway because I tell them to do it. They gotta finish it by tomorrow. So in Korea, it's like
No choice.
No choice. It's very common that like you don't ask a question, you just get it done. So gets the work done is basically like this is I still use this tech. I think as I learned from this Korean society, the most common thing is like people literally hate excuses there. Even in Korea, for example, like because when I was in middle school and high school, there's the physical punishment by the teacher. They hit you with a baseball bat. They just slap you. They just do a lot of the violent physical punishment to the students. Now we don't have it. But when I was young, there were. And then when you're late to school, they come to you. They really like punch you. But then they ask you a question. Hey, why are you late?
And you have to explain to the entire class, right?
No, you don't explain. You don't say why you're late. Even though they ask where you're late, it's very tricky. It's also in military as well. You don't want to say any excuses, even though like literally there's an accident and the traffic happened. So like let's say, oh, there's a traffic and I was late. They even punch you more. What the teacher wants to hear from you is, I'm sorry, it's my fault. From tomorrow, I'll never be late.
Own it.
That's what they want to hear. It's like, don't tell why you're late. Don't tell me what's happened before. Just tell me, apologize, and just tell me what's your solution.
Yeah.
So that's why no excuse but solution. That's always. And then in the company, same. Like your boss asks you to do something, and then you really struggle. You have no time, like to do it, and then they give you due, like the deadline by tomorrow morning, and then it's almost impossible. They say that your boss said nothing is impossible. Just get it done by tomorrow, and then you don't sleep at night. You just get the work done and then just bring it.
How do you manage your employees? I mean, let's say in Central Asia, you're dealing with very different type of employees.
Yeah.
Who might not they might be arguing with you. They think they're right. They will be debating with you. How did you adjust or not?
I think I combined.
How do you get things done while working with sort of Central Asian?
So I think I just don't let them sleep. I'm just kidding. No. That's a Korean way, but I don't use a Korean way. I combine the Korean way and then also the American way. So I create kind of more of equal relationship with the team. So my tactic is to show them as an example. For example, not anymore, but before when I first started a business, and even now sometimes. Like, I'm not there as a boss. I'm just there as a helper. So basically, I do everything. I wash the dishes, I clean the toilet, and then I serve people. I wipe the table. I do everything. So, and then if I do it, basically what I do, I show them as an example, not as like a ruler or like give them orders or whatever it is. And then at the beginning, they didn't really get it. When oh, Chihoon, I will do it. No. I was like, no, I'm doing it. It's okay. It's like, you can ask me. So I always tell them that you can ask me all the time. When I'm sitting here, if you need a table for the guests, you can ask me to move. Right. So this, and then another thing is that training, like we have weekly training every Sunday, 2 hours training every week since my business started. So not only so my main goal in the with the team is that I realize that the people need basically, they need to feel that they're very important in the company. They really need to feel that they are taken care of by the company. So how can we do this? My goal for my team is always has been the same. I always tell them, like, I don't expect you to stay here forever. You need to move. You need to go to. So, but my main goal is to help you to grow while you're working here. By the time you leave this company, I want you to get a better job or better offer. Which means because by doing that, you grow, and then you are growing, you contribute more to the company, and it's good for the company as well. So it's like this is has been since the beginning and always my kind of like philosophy of HR.
Let's say when you have a debate with an employee and you have much more experience in the topic.
Yeah.
And how do you convince them that you're right?
I think I give them a clear reason. I think is when you argue with somebody, and then if you don't support that argument and just telling people to do it just because you're boss, I think that's stupid. And then also I demand a clear reason when they argue with me.
Correct.
So, and then we come up with an agreement that, oh yeah, I think you're right. Oh, I think, or I give you like, let's try that way. I'm very open in the sense. So gotcha. It's not very Korean style. Korean style is like also very bossy, sitting and then like, don't ask me question, just do whatever I ask. I don't really do it, but I usually ask, and then when I give position to somebody, I just let them do it, and I ask them questions.
So it's more of a sort of American democratic.
It's very American style. Yeah, very American style.
Gotcha. I mean, one of the common things when sort of expats sort of live in, let's say, Kazakhstan, one of the very common questions would be sort of, why did you come to Almaty or Kazakhstan? And usually the expectation is that they want to be praised. They want you to praise the country, how wonderful it is.
Yeah.
We don't want that. We don't want any praise. Tell us why you left South Korea.
Well, that's a good question. Like, as I said, we talked about how Korea is a crazy competitive, Korea developed the economy super fast, meaning that the economy is developed, people live well, but then the socially was not really developed. So still there are a lot of, and it created a lot of social problems, and people just work really, really hard. And then they didn't know how to take care of themselves. For example, like even in Kazakhstan, people, you have some problem, you go to the counseling. I see a lot of people doing it. In Korea, it's still like it's very uncommon. You have a mental problem. I mean, that's why we have like the highest suicide rate in the entire world. It's like number one in the world by far. And elementary school students, they commit suicide in South Korea. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous that they have a pressure. The high school students, like when I was in high school, there's another high school, I think is another high school in my town, in my city, that he committed suicide because he's been always ranked number one, and then the one specific exam he became 2, and he couldn't stand it. Yeah, it's crazy. And then for me, I think I think is naturally I really don't like that kind of pressure. I was a bit different when I was young. I was a bit more artistic. I was a bit more free, but I had to follow this I don't know. I was in the social pressure, and I was like jealous of some of my friends who knew what he would want to do. Like, oh, I want to be a musician. I want to be a doctor. I was like, how can you have this when I don't have nothing? But then one day after military service, I studied really hard, but for nothing. And I graduated, and then I was like, and then one time I look at the map, South Korea is extremely small. And I was there thinking, how other people in other countries, they live? Mm-hmm. Because in South Korea, everyone telling me what to do based on, as if they know everything about me. Like about the life secret. But then I'm curious how other people leave. They really also think the same way that we do. They really also care about the reputation. They really care about things. But when I see the TV, when they show in other countries, it seems like a different. So my goal, the reason I left Korea was very different from others. A lot of kids, they go to United States to get the degree, the diploma, and come back and become a professor, whatever it is, doctor. But I studied really, really hard to go to United States because my goal is to go and see how other people live.
See the world.
Yeah, go to see the world. And I remember I talked to my dad when I got accepted to school in the United States. And then they were so happy. You know, my son, they go to United States to study, They're expecting for me to become like a PhD, you know, and then become a professor. And I literally told him, I said, look, the reason I go to United States is because I want to learn English. And then I want to meet a lot of people from other countries. So that's why I chose actually to go to Boston University instead of Emory University. Emory is a better school. They give me more scholarship and a better future if you continue to go to that direction. But the reason I chose Boston because it's in Boston. It's very diversity. I was expecting to meet a lot of different people from all outside the world. That's my sole like pure goal. So I told them after United States, I will leave like different continents and then I will decide where I'm gonna live. And then that living different country, living and experiencing different things, that's my PhD. I mean, no one recognized it. No one gave me a professor job, but this is my life. And then that's what I want.
Right.
And then my father literally told me that like, you're too idealistic. And then I remember I defend myself in this way. Look, like this is what I have been growing up. Like, in Korea, always very successful person come and say, if you do this, you can be successful like me, And then like, you need to earn money, you need to go to good school. Okay, let's say, people say that this is the realistic thinking, realistic path. But let me argue with you that, okay, let's hypothetically think about it. For example, there's 100 students. And there's one guy, very successful guy, telling us what to do to be successful. And then these 100 people do exactly same effort, exactly do the same, but at the end of the day, still only one guy becomes successful. The 299 will be failed. Do you think that this is realistic? I think that that's idealistic.
Interesting.
But then my approach is that then how about we become all unique? Instead of become a CEO, instead of become like the best fighter in the world or best, smartest person in the world, the CEO of Samsung in the world, that's only one person's job. But then what if we all become different? We are all unique. We are all different. And then
we have more chance.
Yeah. And then I think that's more realistic than idealistic. So that's why I told them I want to be unique. I don't want to be the best. I don't want to live me. I don't want to find me. I want to find myself and live my life instead of like achieving something that when other people think that is amazing. So that when I realized this, I was like, I gotta leave this country. I want to live somewhere, because when you are travel, no matter how much you're famous in the country, no how much business you have, when you go to some country, then no one knows you. You become nothing. That's a freedom.
Yeah.
And then
it's liberating.
Exactly. So for me, that's why traveling is the biggest inspiration and then the best learning experience in my life.
Which countries did you travel? So you graduate BU in 2012, I believe, or yeah, and then you arrived in Bishkek in 2015 or
15, yeah.
15. So which sort of, let's say you graduate. This is May 2012. Actually, I graduated master's 2012 as well, same period. May 2012. How do you pick the next country? Are you staying in the US?
When I first went to United States, I still couldn't speak the English. It's really funny. I only know how are you fine, thank you, and you. When somebody come to me and say, "Hey, Chihoon, how's it going?" And I was like, "What is going?" Literally, I was like, my English was that level, but I was crazy enough. My English was terrible. That's really, really bad. And but still, the next semester I signed up the Spanish class, and then my advisor was like, "Are you crazy? Your English is not good, and then you want to learn Spanish?" "Yeah, because I need to go to Spanish-speaking country after this." And they're like, "I don't know if I want to sign this for you." I was like, "Please." And then, so what I did was like, I went to Argentina. So in between, before. So, and then I learned my Spanish. And after graduation, I moved to New York, and I moved to Brooklyn, where a lot of Colombians and Latin Americans live, so I can practice my Spanish. So and then I lived in New York as an artist, and I've been traveling to, and then also I lived in Paris for about 5 months as an artist.
So as an artist, meaning that you would
Yeah.
draw paintings and sell them, or
It's called residency program. So you work with a gallery, they provide a space, and you create an art for a couple of months, and at the end you have a show and to the public. And if you sell it, but it's more for your artistic development rather than just selling. So that's I did, and then also whenever I have money in my pocket, I was thinking where I can go. So I went to like a lot of countries in Asia, like Japan, Malaysia, Taiwan, and also my first European countries was Iceland, as the most beautiful country.
How many countries did you visit total? 50 plus?
No, actually not. A lot of people think that I went to a lot of countries, but I don't really care about the number of countries. I care, normally when I travel, I go one city for as like a longest days like possible, because I don't want to go and like, oh, I see the Eiffel Tower, I need to go to another. No, instead of like, I go to Paris. When I was living in Paris in 5 months, the only country I visited is only 2 other countries in Europe, which is very unlikely possible, because if you're living in Europe for 5 months as a traveler, that you would like to go everywhere. But instead of me, I was trying
to go deep.
Yeah, I'm trying to be local. I'm trying to build a local friendship, like, and then ask a lot of questions to them. That's how I started drinking coffee, actually, because the coffee shop is more than coffee, you know. You don't drink coffee, you still go to coffee shop, like him. Yeah, so, and then you go to coffee shop, especially local coffee shop, small coffee shop, you meet the local people, and they're very open. They tell you what to do and where to go, and then you even become friends with them, and then you go there every day, and then you become friends with the barista, and then, so this is my very common traveling routine.
But how did all those travels brought you to Bishkek?
Maybe one question, what about Argentina? How long you stayed?
I was there for 6 months.
And what insights could you tell us? Because not many people was in Argentina.
Argentina was actually, it's funny because I went there as, when I was in school, there was a program that is field education, which is you have to do practical work for 2 semesters. And at the hospital, as some non-profit the organization, but everybody's doing it. And then I see people doing it. It's just they just do it for their credits. And I was like, I didn't want to do this. If it's a real field education, I want to do real field education. So I went to the field education advisor professor, say I want to do something different. I don't want to be like another people. So what I did was what if I go to Argentina and then I'm going to, actually I wanted to study, I was studying Spanish, right? My Spanish was terrible, but my English was terrible. My English got so much better in the United States. So I realized that if I put myself in the context that I had to do it to survive, then I could learn really, really fast. So when I saw the study abroad sign, I was like, oh shit, I want to go to study abroad. And I went to my advisor and said, no, in graduate program, there's no study abroad program. You are studying abroad right here, right now from Korea. And then you want to go somewhere? I was like, yeah, I want to go. And I was like, I don't think you can go. And then actually he fed up. He was like literally, this guy, he literally told me, you are crazy. And I say, okay, let me help you. Why don't you take the leave of absence? And then you go to Argentina. I will introduce, because the advisor is from Argentina. He's an Argentine professor. He said, I will introduce another university there. You go study 1 semester there, and then you transfer the credit here so you don't lose the semester. So that was his. And then with that, I went to the field education office. I said, look, what if I do my field education in Argentina instead of here working at the hospital? And then they're like very excited. I was very lucky to meet those professors. Actually, I was very lucky. And then she helped me. And I went to Argentina, and then I was researching what was there, and then I realized that tango is from there. I was like, okay, I gotta learn tango. And then I learned tango 1 semester before I go there. I didn't know that I learned different tango than their tango. I learned international tango. They dance Argentine tango. It's very different. And I went there, and then first night I went to the milonga where people dance tango, and I was dancing wrong tango, so my partner was just walked away. I was like humiliating experience, but then that motivated me. I was like, well, you walked away from me, I've got to study really hard. So I go to the tango studio every day, like 2 hours every day, 5 times a week. And then I learn really, really quickly, and I go back to the milonga, I dance, and I was like, see, I can do this.
And you did it like right in front of her. Hey, like, do you see me? How good I am now?
Yeah, I met her. Actually, I met her a couple months later because she comes there all the time. I said, like, would you like to dance with me? I was like, And then like we danced. I was like, wow, you got so much better. Yeah, because I learned, I practiced. So yeah, the tango is extremely popular, and then also I think is Kazakh people do not need a visa to go to Argentina. I highly recommend for any of you here visiting Argentina, because they also love meat. There's the meat called asado. Mm-hmm. It's also their like way of their shashlik, basically steak. It's extremely delicious with Malbec wine, which is their signature wine. Mm-hmm. So Argentina, and also one of the most beautiful country I've ever been. I went down to Patagonia. You know, the brand Patagonia is from this mountain range, Patagonia. I went there, and it's one of the most beautiful nature I've ever seen in my life. So
did you visit afterwards?
While I'm staying in Buenos Aires, and then the last months I went to Patagonia, El Calafate and Ushuaia. It's the southernmost city in the entire world. Southernmost city, and then
did you see penguins?
I see penguins. It's everything. Yeah, it's fantastic. The sad thing is that I couldn't go to Antarctica, which was my dream, but it was too expensive for me. I was a student.
Yeah, interesting. So what? Tell us the story of how did you come? So all the way from Buenos Aires, how do you come to Bishkek? It's like that's very uncommon.
That's I think I really like there's a psychological theory called exotic becomes erotic.
Mm-hmm. That's your Instagram.
That's my Instagram name. Exotic. I made it like a shortened version of it. So basically, you know, like when you see something very different, you get attracted to it. I mean, that's why in general, men likes women, women likes men, because they are exotic to each other. My uncle, he was doing business in Bishkek, but he didn't live there. He wasn't living there. So, but then after I left Korea, I was always outside, and then I came back to Korea. I actually gave up because I was struggling as an artist. It was really hard to survive, and I had no money. I was always struggling, and I came back. I had to listen to my mom and say, okay, I'm going to apply for PhD, but not in the States. I'm going to go to Europe. So I applied for my PhD in England. And so I had about an 8 months break before entering the program. And then I was in Korea, and my uncle said that, oh, well, you're in Korea. I'm going to Kyrgyzstan next week. You want to join me? I was like, yeah. I was like, what is there?
Sounds exotic.
Yeah, sounds very exotic. And then there's beautiful mountains and lakes. I was like, hell yeah, I'm coming. And then I came to Kyrgyzstan, and I was like, I literally was shocked because nothing is familiar to me. Mm-hmm. None of them. People, culture, tradition, language, everything. And I was there, and then my uncle told me, You know that Kyrgyzstan used to be the biggest chicken producer during the Soviet Union times. There's a lot of chicken farms here. And then their chickens are all natural. Or they grow up with a natural feed and non-GMO. I was like, wow, cool. Well, there's no chicken place here? No, there's no even KFC here. And I was there thinking, maybe. Trying
Light bulb.
this is my escape way. So I came back and then I talked to my parents like, I think I'm going to Kyrgyzstan. And
Unbelievable.
you have to see my mom's like razor eye to my uncle, and my uncle was like rolling his eyes. It's not me. I mean, it's like, and then I was there. It's like, I think I'm gonna go to Kyrgyzstan. And then like, how about your PhD? Oh, I will email them. I will go next year. Let me just first try. I was like, you sure you're going to next year? Yeah. I will email them. So I emailed the school, university in UK, and then I went to Kyrgyzstan. I was like, yes. Once I came here, no, I'm not going to PhD. I don't want to be in the. I don't want to stuck in the library next 5 years. Yeah,
So
that's how I came.
You arrive in Bishkek, and what's the thing? Like, you don't know anyone there. Like, what's the first thing you do? Like, do you just start? Like, from the moment you arrived in Bishkek to the moment you opened Chickenstar, how many months or days passed?
That thing is like my Korean how to say,
Korean gene
came out there. So I was in Kyrgyzstan for a week in the November 2014, and then I went back. I got an idea about opening the Korean fried chicken restaurant because there's relatively easy information I can get everywhere in South Korea. So right away I rented a kitchen and I started developing my own sauce because Korean fried chicken is all about sauce. And then most of people, they are franchisee, so they don't have any recipe. So they depending on the company. But I think that one of the best decisions I made, it was like, I don't want to be dependent on anybody. So I need to create my own sauce. So I chose the difficult path. And then I realized that my uncle is extremely talented. His nose is amazing. But any culinary, like wine, food, coffee, your nose is like 80%. Your tongue is 20%. The nose is the most important part. And he's very talented. So I asked him to help me. So him and we developed for a couple of months. And then I finally was like ready. I came to 18th of February. And then I opened my restaurant in April 1st.
Wow, that's like a month and a half.
Yeah. So everyone was like telling me that I'm crazy.
It takes a year to open a restaurant in the United States.
Yeah.
So all the permits.
All the permits and other things. Yeah. And I opened right away. And and then but I opened in the wrong place. It was a lot of struggles the first year because I have restaurants and cafes, but it wasn't my passion before. Like, I never thought that I would be an entrepreneur. I thought that I would be either artist or professor. Artist following my dream or professor following my parents' dream, you know? I don't want that. So, and I never really trying to sell anything in my life before. It was just like my escape plan. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, back then I was as a consumer in United States, I was very interested in. There's two words that really in my mind all the time was the sustainability and resilience. So even as a poor artist, I would go and support the businesses that is employee owned. So like my friend who was working at the Wall Street made fun of me. They're like, man, you make nothing and you still buy $20 employee owned almond butter. Man, I go to Trader Joe's buy $2 butter and I make a lot of money. And they're like, who are you? Or something like this. But then I was in that kind of community, like, you know, go to the farmer's market, like these things as a consumer. But then when I decide to the business, that kind of thing is that I wanted to do as a businessman as well. So, and then I see that in Bishkek, and my main focus was what? And then also, and then at the same time, I was researching a lot of tech companies back then. So like, Netflix and all these things. So my approach, since I never studied F&B, food and beverage, or Horeca, I never did any business. So my research is not really like narrow. It was very broad. I was researching like tech company, researching another like crazy company, and trying to learn everything from them. And then I make my own, strategy and business plan. And then I would use that thing in my small like chicken restaurant, which is quite funny. Now I'm thinking I prepared like 47 pages of presentations, and before I opened, and I hired 8 staff. I still remember none of them spoke English. And then I hired a translator. And then first 2 weeks, we just sit down in the round table. We talk about what's our vision, what's our mission. And then opening the like fried chicken restaurant, it's not even a good location. And then they're like yearning, sleeping, like this thing. But I was really passionate, like telling them, like, look, guys, and then we gotta solve the problem. Business is a solving problem, not making money. Like telling people, and then and then I researched like there's this is a problem in the market, in the restaurant business. We gotta solve this one. We gotta solve this one. We gotta solve this one. They were like, "What the heck you're talking about?" But that's my the approach.
Yeah, and so at the moment you have 4 Chickenstar sort of locations, right?
I have 2 Chickenstar and about 6 Flask.
Oh, and both of them are in Bishkek. 2 Chickenstars in Bishkek.
No, actually, the 1 Chickenstar is here with the Flask. So it's like 2 separate entity, but it's in the same location.
Got it. So now you have like a vast experience in just like 8 years. You accumulated a lot of experience in Horeca business. Let's imagine we have sort of aspiring entrepreneurs who want to start, let's say, a food sort of or restaurant business. Let's write a playbook on what to do, how to pick a location, what's the capital, where to get the money from. Maybe some common mistakes people make when they open a restaurant.
I think I'm to be honest, I'm really terrible at that.
But you opened so many and they're very well successful.
Yeah,
so you must know something.
So basically,
On that note, I can take a shot of this, right?
Yeah, please. Yeah,
and
shake it.
And I'll still be capable of doing this discussion?
Yeah, you will wake up. It immediately wakes you up.
Okay, wonderful. Let's do it.
A ginger shot. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah. I think as restaurant business I think as the Horeca business is really, really good in Central Asia because people love spending time with their family and friends at the restaurant, at the coffee shop. Or I think it's extremely potential for anyone. But also at the same time is very expensive to open. My tactic was trying to find and minimize the risk, minimize the budget to open, and then rather save money to solve the problems that actually when you open. A lot of people think that once you finish the renovation, everything is ready, and then the door is open, they think that you sit down and the money will come to them. It's not. It's the only business that you can do this is a drug deal. That you give drugs and you get money right away. But in other businesses, no, it doesn't work that way. I think is the most important thing is I always tell people that you need to have a clear one sentence that why do you want to do this restaurant? I think it's a very important question. Like why do you do this business? I think it's because that's the vision. Because you were going to face a lot of problems on the way. And if you don't have a vision, then you don't have any guidelines. You don't have the searchlight from so you will make wrong decision. You will give up so easily, but you have a clear vision. That vision statement will lead you, not only leads you, and then it will lead the team because you cannot be there all the time. So then your team needs to believe something. So I always tell people that you must have a clear vision for your business. And I think it's very important, and to me as well. And number 2 is the basically what kind of problems can you solve with your business. The restaurant business is actually very when I do the research, and also I ask a lot of people before I open, there's 4 elements that's very important. Number 1 is of course the taste, the product has to be really good. Number 2 is service. Service is good service. Good service is not about being polite. Good service is actually being able to solve your guests' problems. So when they're leaving your restaurant or cafe, they shouldn't have any problem. And the third thing is cleanness. You have to have a very clean surface everywhere. Your toilet and your restaurant everywhere should be very clean. Number 4, and then once you have all 3 things achieved, and then it's gonna be very very good basic. The last one is the uniqueness. The question is, what are the unique points? What are the differences between what uniqueness you have compared to your competitors?
Is it like Italian restaurant number 255, or are you bringing something new to the table?
No, I think yeah, exactly. Even though it's the same restaurant, okay, I want to open an Italian restaurant, and everyone said that there are tons of Italian restaurants. Yes, but I have this that differentiate from others.
Right.
Then I think we have to be able to answer the question: why should people choose to come to your restaurant? Because from their home to your restaurant, they're passing hundreds of other restaurants. Why they need to come to you? Do you have an answer? If you have an answer, I'm sure you will become successful. If you don't have an answer, I just have, this is a cool idea. Everyone go to Italian restaurant. I should open an Italian restaurant too. Then there's a higher chance that you will fail. A lot of people think that, I ask a lot of people, like, why do you want to do business? Because I want to make money. Then you shouldn't do business, because statistically more business losing money than earning money. Then in that sense, you shouldn't do any business, because like 75 business is actually losing money. So if you do business, there's a higher chance that you lose money. So this is the and then you have to have in my case, I think it's very important to have clear your target groups, and
who is your customer, right?
Yeah, who's your customer, and then and where do they live, and then what's their how they consume. They buy online, or they take away, or they like to sit down. I think this is very important. And then you choose the location, and then of course choosing good location is important, but that's usually very expensive. Sometimes you have to choose a bit off from the city or like this. But I think it's money comes at the very end. I think it's people always think about, I can't do business, but I don't have money. But I always tell my team that you want to become a person whom are trusted by others. So because people don't invest on your idea, people invest on you. In that sense, because if you are good enough, then people will bring money to you and say, hey, let's do something. So I think it's very important. Also, question is that am I capable to take challenges? And then not necessarily you need to have experience in restaurant business or horeca, but like, are you? I think it's also like knowing your talent and strengths is, I think, is extremely important. I know my strengths, which is I know I'm creative, I'm futuristic, I'm strategic, but I'm terrible at like operation, like finance, all these things. So when I do business, my manager, like I don't look for a manager who is creative. I look for a manager who is really good at like get the works done and these things. So then it matches, and I always, and then I think creating great team is actually more important than anything else. I think that's very important.
Let's say you picked a good location, you spent the minimum amount to open your restaurant, you opened it. How do you attract customers in the first 3 months?
I think it's I'm known in my company. I'm known for not spending a lot of money on marketing, because I believe that the most important thing is to be able to provide a great experience to your guest. So then that experience will pass to some other people. And I think as word of mouth is the most important marketing tool, most effective. A lot of people doing a lot of marketing advertisement when they are not ready. This like 4-part, for example. And that means if you advertise, if you spend a lot on targeting or like printing thousands of flyers to give to people, and if you are not ready inside, that means actually you're promoting that you're bad.
That's a good point.
Yeah. So like, why would you do that? Like you do, like, that's why. But a lot of people, they are like anxious and they spend a lot of money on this because they don't have enough extra capital to cover their lost months, like, you know, these things. And then they become ultimate pressure, and then they give that pressure to their team. Look, guys, we don't make money. Like, your manager, what are you doing? Like, they start blaming people and even blaming. A lot of people blame their market and blame their customers. Like, oh, we're in the wrong market. Like, you know, they have a lot of excuses. But I think if you're really, really ready, and then I think it's very important to be patient, to really, even the one person come and they have a great time, then that's good enough, because that means your strategy is simple. We just need to increase this kind of regular guests. That was actually the Flask is the first, when like a manager come to me and say, Chihoon, we don't have enough sales, Like, but my question was like, but how were people's experience when they come in? Did they like it? Yeah, they always come back, but very small. Like, we don't have a lot of guests. Then that's fine. We just need to wait until this number of regular guests increases, because the restaurant business, the most important thing is the success of a restaurant business is whether you have a returning guest or not. People come and one time, oh, you new comment, and then they never come back, then higher chance that you will fail. But then at the beginning, not many people come, but they constantly coming back. That means you have bigger future.
Do you encourage people to come back? Do you talk to them, or?
So when I was there, like that's it also, like the service part, like, yeah, that service part is extremely important. I think I'm still struggling, and it's not perfect in my company as well. But what I'm trying to do is always, we want to ask questions to our guest, like, how's your coffee? How's your chicken? Like, because I always tell my team that, like, the best, there's a two guests. One who had a bad experience, they're yelling at you, they're like cursing at you, they're like telling you that you're terrible. There's this kind of guest. There's one other guest who came, didn't complain anything, and silently left with a bad experience. Who is a better guest?
Yeah, the former.
The former always complains. Like I said, they are the better guests because they give us a chance to fix it. These guests are the most dangerous guests because they left and never come back. So, because don't complain about guests being sensitive, because you don't want to mess with hungry people. You know, like, you don't really, like, so
the angriest people on the planet.
Exactly. So
hangry.
Yeah, and then I always tell my team and say, like, do not give them any excuse. Just provide a solution. Provide, and then don't even surprise them with your solution. So we used to have, and Chickenstar, for example, like if something you don't like it, we immediately remake it for you. I think we still do. And then maybe, for example, like you found something in the salad, like some dirt because we didn't wash it properly. Let's say the lettuce, and then you find the dirt, and then we immediately replace them. You don't have to ask a manager. Mm-hmm. You as a waiter, you can change that. They can do it. They can do it. You have a right to do it. And then they do it, and then still they take it from the bill so that they get the solution, and and then
it's free.
Yeah, and one of the worst solution I usually see is like they come and the waiter is like, they don't know how to do it, and then they go to the manager come and okay, we'll take it, we'll make it for you, and then
Recharge you after.
and they recharge you, and then they give you the wrong solution, which is like, here's the cake, this is for you, and then I don't even eat cake.
Yeah.
For example, like I didn't ask for you to give me a cake. Maybe it would be nice if you asked me, would like to compensate you with some dessert or some lemonade? Would you like to giving the options that people can choose what they like, instead of like, because this is a rule book, like if complain guest, they bring them cheesecake.
Yeah.
But I think this is the worst solution. I think it's what I think is very important to give them the proper solution, and then and then when they leave, and then I have one example. Like one time, there's one guest come, and then we used to have a lead. This lead was bigger than this cup, which we didn't know. We ordered from the company, and then it was big. And then one guest ordered Americano, and she was leaving, and then she came back with her white shirts with a coffee. And I was like, we're shocked. And I was like, hey guys, I think the lid is too big, and I'm in my car, and I just spilled. I was trying to drink, and it was leaked. And then we were like, oh, we are so sorry. Like, we apologize. We make new one. Also, like, how can we clean your shirts? Like, we can provide you. We can cover your dry cleaning cost or whatever. We were trying to give them everything. She was like, it's fine, just make the new one. And then of course she was not happy, okay, it's fine, let's just make the new one. And she was waiting. I was like, and then I was there, coming to her and say, look, and then I saw that, you ordered Americano without sugar. So, and then do you have about 2 minutes? And she said, oh yeah, I have 2 minutes. And I go there and say, don't make Americano, make the pour over filter coffee, which is our expensive coffee. Because I realized that if she doesn't drink, she drinks the black coffee Americano without milk and sugar, there will be higher chance that she would appreciate higher quality pour over coffee. So I asked her, have you ever tried a pour over coffee? No, I've never tried it. But you always drink coffee black without sugar? Yeah. Oh, give me 2 minutes. I'll brew for you. So we brewed, and then we asked. I asked one more question. Do you like more nutty and more chocolatey flavor, or your more fruity, bright, acidic flavor? She said, I like bright, acidic flavor. So can you brew this Colombia? And then they brew it, and I gave it to her. Could you please try? And then this is probably, if you haven't tried it, this is going to be very interesting. And tried it. Oh wow, it's not bitter at all. It's it's very new. I've never tried this kind of coffee. It's really good. And then I was like, wow, thank you so much. And next time I'll come order this one. And then she was leaving, and then we apologized again. I'm sorry again for what happened. It's like, we will fix this lead problem. And then what she told me was very striking. She said, no, I'm actually glad that it happened. So I got to know this.
I discovered a new type of
exactly.
coffee.
And then she started coming more often, and then bring her friends. Hey, look, you got to try this coffee. This is different.
Unbelievable.
So
you turned a negative experience into such a positive one.
Exactly. I think it's a complaining guest.
Since then, she's the most profitable person.
She's a fan.
Yeah, exactly. And then she ordered more expensive coffee than Americano.
She's a fan now. Yeah.
So I think that's also one of the very good the examples that we provide the solution to our guests, and I think that's very important.
Customer obsession.
Yeah.
What's you mentioned that you want to know the sort of who your customer is, and could you describe the customer of Chickenstar in Bishkek and in Almaty? Who is this person? Is it male, female, what age?
So when I first came I did some economic research in Bishkek. So when I first came, that back then in Bishkek, once you graduate from the university, the best paid job is working at embassies and international organizations. So when you work at the bank, you probably get paid like $200 a month, but you work at the embassy, you get like $1,000 a month. But then I realized that about 85% of the local employees are women. So that means your mid-20s and 30s, early 30s, most of the highest paid salary local in the center are female. So I was thinking, I was like, yeah, then Korean chicken place in South Korea is very dark. They open at 5 p.m. They close at 4 a.m. It's about chicken and beer, like the kind of thing. And I was like, no, this ain't gonna work. So I need to really target them. And then I need to make this design and everything that is preferable for like the young professional women and expats and like also the men as well. And then I also realized that here, like, the men's are so sweet. They're buying like 100 roses to the girls and like lots of gifts to the girl. So I was there thinking like, oh, maybe if you make it very attractive to the woman, maybe the guys also want to come,
to impress them.
Because usually ask where do you like to go, and when you date, and then the girl say like I want to go to Chickenstar or I want to go to this, and it's like, yeah, let's go. You follow. So that was like, okay, let's. So in Bishkek, I was very much targeting for like young professionals, expats, and especially but then like very attractive to the young female professionals. That's our target group. In Almaty, basically pretty much the same, but instead in Almaty, it's more economically and socially developed market. So a lot more competition here. So we're trying to basically there were demand for good coffee when we first started trying to open. So I realized, okay, whoever loves coffee, who is looking for better coffee, that should be our target group. But then I realized that those people who are willing to basically pay more money for better coffee, good quality coffee, are like people who are in the tech industry or like a creative industry, and like because they if you work at the like normal big company, they don't really care. In Korea as well, they go to Starbucks, it's easy, but then if you're in the creative industry or in the like tech, then they're very careful for what they're paying for. So they want to pay for the actually that gives them a good experience. So I realized that. So we did a lot of that's why we started doing the art exhibition to attract the people who love art and this kind of thing. So that's our Bishkek, Almaty, pretty much the same. We usually target young professionals, millennials, and expats.
Gotcha. So now we talked about Chickenstar. Let's talk about Flask. You have 4 locations here in Almaty, and what I appreciate and I'm really thankful to you for is that you are bringing this specialty coffee to Almaty. You're introducing our customers sort of to that type of coffee. I mean, this trend has been happening, and especially in the US, we see like Blue Bottle. We see what else? Like there is this venture-backed company in Flask Coffee, I think. In sort of Bay Area. I'm not a coffee person, but sort of one thing I would love you. But one thing I appreciated is that every time you come to Flask, it's very artsy, very unique. But the menu is also very unique. You always have some very unique beverages. Every time there would be some sort of a seasonal beverages, and it would be something I never had before. And it's sort of like. But before we discuss sort of the uniqueness of your menu, I would like to discuss. I would love you to sort of teach our audience and give them introduction to coffee, sort of coffee 101. What's the basic difference between Starbucks coffee and a specialty coffee?
Well, like there's easy way to. That's a very good question. So like we have to really think about what coffee is actually. So coffee is fruit, is a cherry. That means it has to be fruity. When you eat apple, you don't expect to be bitter, right? You expect to be very juicy, like any other fruits. Coffee is the same. So wine has about 400 chemical components that differentiate the taste, the aromas, and coffee is more than 800. So it's like 2 times more complex than wine. But in our mind, we think that coffee is the same taste. Bitter, I need a milk, I need the sugar. And then you ask a question, why it's like that? oh, when you produce the massive amount of the same product, it's very important to make it consistency. So I always give this example. Starbucks coffee, commercial coffee are over roasted, which means burned. But why they burn it? Because coffee is so diverse, like there's so many varietals. Only in Ethiopia, like in wine, like we say Chardonnay, like all these like Zinfandel or Pinot Noir, all these kind of varietals, right? Only in Ethiopia, there are more than 1,000 varietals of coffee. So it's very, very different taste and And then how to make this all coffee the same taste? The only way is to burn. You make it completely dark.
So they normalize the coffee.
Exactly. Yeah. So like I opened let's say meat restaurant and I'm selling you meat. And you say, what kind of meat? It's meat.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It's all the same.
It doesn't matter. Baranina, gavejina, it doesn't matter. How can I make the same taste? I just completely burn. It's become like dark black. And I give it to you, you wouldn't notice which one is cow or beef, which one is like
crocodile,
lamb, crocodile, or like pigeons on the street. Because I completely burn. You only taste the burnt taste. That's what commercial coffee is. Because specialty coffee is a little bit roasted, a bit lighter, so that get the full potential of that bean, that terroir, the land, and then the varietal, and who is the producer. So
you customize the brewing to the bean itself, right?
So basically, these days, before people are asking, is it Arabica or Robusta? It's like a type of coffee. But now that for specialty, that question is not so much relevant because almost all the coffee is Arabica. And then there is also very expensive Robusta as well, like really specialty Robusta. But now it's more important to like, what's the varietal? And then where is the origin of coffee? Oh, it's from like Panama or Colombia. Oh, in Colombia, which region, which sub-region, which district, which farm? And who is the producer? Because and then in the same farm, and then there are different lots. Like, so some of our coffee has lot numbers. Like, for example, like Panama is famous for geisha. And there's a family called Jensen. And also, is it Panama Jensen geisha, natural, or this is a process? It is natural process or washed process. And then in the process, and then a lot number 38. Oh, this is a lot number 38. So that each lot has a distinctive tasting because of a microclimate. Because coffee is highly affected by the climate. And for example, there's a really rainy area or really windy area, or what kind of soil they have, or is there close to the river, far from the river, is it dry area? It depends on that, or what kind of varietal. It gives a lot. It's very, very complicated, but it gives a lot of different tastes at the end of the day. And then you harvest the coffee, and then you go to the processing. Traditionally, just natural and washed. Natural means you dry the cherry out, and then it dries, and then you just peel it. And because of this juicy the fruits, and it goes into the bean, so it's more fruity, more like complex. Whereas washed, once you harvest it, you just wash them, you peel them right away. So it's a more clean taste, less complexity than natural. But nowadays, there are a lot of experimental process. So simply, you can say specialty coffee, there's a coffee production based on the varietal, and then the next stage is a process. What kind of process is important? And then you go to the roasting. What kind of roasting profile? You go to a little bit darker for espresso or lighter for filter, and then you go to the brewing. So what kind of brewing method do you use to take the biggest potential out of these beans? So I always often tell my barista, say, look, the barista is the most important job, because if you brew it properly, then all year long, all the effort from the producers and the processors and the roasters, all their effort is
culminates in
exactly. You can highlight their effort, or you destroy their effort. So So yeah, and then I think a specialty coffee is no longer like it's relevant to say that this coffee shop is the best coffee shop, because everybody has their own how to say preference in terms of tasting. So I think it's very important to when you come to like specialty coffee shop like Flask, instead of just like ordering a latte cappuccino, whatever you used to drink. It's also very important that we serve very good cappuccino, very good milk coffee. Instead, you can try like, hey, I heard that you guys have some nice pour over coffee. What should I try? I don't like acidity, but I like really nutty flavor or chocolatey flavor, la la la. And then they will explain it to you. They recommend beans for you, and then you try it. I was like, oh wow, it's like if you drink coffee, it's almost like you are in. Before coffee, it was like I need to wake up and I need a caffeine, and now it become like a daily wine, good wine kind of experience without alcohol, without getting drunk.
Right, it's sort of a social experience. Huh?
Exactly, and then also your mouthfeel, your flavor, like you become more like how to say it's
alive,
it's a lot more pleasant experience.
It was the best advertisement of coffee.
Yeah. That's a good one. Quick question. Let's say if I never had coffee before in my life, what should I start from?
I think you should try. You have never like okay. You can come and try like safely with if you don't mind drinking with a milk coffee. You can try white coffee. We call it white coffee, by the way. White coffee means like coffee with milk. Black coffee is just a coffee to black coffee. It could be espresso, americano, or filter coffee. And I suggest you to try it with the white coffee. Maybe a little bit of sugar and then you try white coffee without sugar, and then you start trying like black coffee, either americano because it's cheaper, and then later you can try like a filter coffee, pour over, different tasting profile, different origins, different varietals, and then you try it, and I was like, and then you choose what you like. And then this thing, and then sometimes we organize a tasting event for because it's actually the pour over coffee. Some of the beans are very expensive. It's hard to try. So we sometimes do the public cupping or public tasting events. You can come and try all different kind of coffees that has a different taste, and then you will realize that, I really like this kind of taste. I really like this. It's not relevant to this is the best coffee. This is
it's all about your taste. Yeah,
exactly.
If a customer comes in and they want the most expensive type, they have the most expensive car, they have the most expensive smartphone, they have the most expensive shoes. Which coffee would you recommend? Because they want the most expensive one. What would be the most expensive coffee in your shop?
So far, the most expensive we ever sold is one cup would be. I think it's 3,900 tenge.
Yeah, but what's the name of that coffee?
It's Panama Ginseng Geisha.
Okay, what is it special? What's so special about it?
So then I need to talk about Panama. The geisha is the type of varietal. So like wine, Chardonnay, and the geisha now is known for the best balanced or like coffee in the world. The geisha, especially in Panama. Geisha is from actually Ethiopia, but they planted in Panama. I don't know when, but then the Panama has amazing climate for coffee. So coffee has to get stressed out to yield more like fruits and stuff like that. So for example, like if you see the map, America goes North America and then South America. Panama is a connection between the two.
Yeah.
Panama is famous for the canal, right? And then if you see the Pacific is on their left side. Atlantic is on their right side. Except for Panama. Panama is country like this. So Pacific in their south. Atlantic in the north. And it's only like 40 kilometers. Which means they have climates from the Pacific and then Atlantic at the same time.
Opposite climates.
And then it's a volcanic mountains there. And so they get a crazy micro like climates. In there, even one farm here and the 50 meters away, a completely different climate. Like there, it's like rain all the time. Here is like no rain, for example. So it gives a lot of crazy result on coffee. And geisha is known for, can grow in the high up on the mountains. They're very resilient. And also because of that harsh environment, it's very sweet, very floral, typically like jasmine and like illy, a lot of white floral, flowery like taste, and also really well balanced and very also bright, complex. So when you drink geisha coffee, normally it's almost like in your mouth they're like dancing, all the flowers and fruits and all the things are, and with a good balance. It's like, I don't know, it's beautiful coffee.
It's called Panama geisha coffee.
Yeah, Panama is a country origin. Sure. Geisha is type of varietal, and in Panama geisha there is a lot of farms, different farms, and there's like Jensen is the farm we work directly. So my like a specialty coffee is not just about the quality, in my opinion. I think it's also the transparency. Basically, you have to know who is growing this coffee. You have to know who is producing this coffee, and also a sustainability that you directly work with them, you pay them well, so that the money doesn't go to the like a lot of middlemen. And then our vision is by end of this year we only directly work. We serve all our coffees are like a direct trade.
How do you get there? Like, do you actually have to travel to Panama?
Yes. I was just there in March. I was in Panama and Colombia visiting different farms, and then
building relationships.
Yeah, building relationship, order beans directly, and so we received some of the beans already, and then we roasted it yesterday. So soon, I think next week or something like that, we'll have some really nice beans from.
How do you when it comes to the menu? There are some opposite approaches. You have some restaurants or coffee shops where going for very small menu. There's this famous, I believe, a sandwich place in Chicago. They have only one item, and they completely sold out by noon.
Right.
It's just like they open up at 6 a.m. By noon, nothing, zero. And they close, that's it. They don't want to scale. They're happy with where they are. Opposite end, you have big Michelin star restaurants, 20 pages of menu, so many different things. How do you find the optimal number of items when it comes to, let's say, a coffee shop?
I think it depends on the market, depends on your like target audience and stuff like this. For me, I like the simpler menu, but I cannot have the simpler menu because I think it's people in this market. I mean, a lot smaller menu than 5 years ago. Before you have to read the menu right here, like so many menus,
so many pages.
But now it's a lot of restaurants, they do very simpler menu. We're trying to be as simple as possible. So basically, we do a lot of every month. I think we analyze our sales, but we basically for Flask we want to add like black coffee. Like basic black coffee, basic white coffee, and tea, lemonade, smoothie. Not so many, just 2-3 type of each, and then every quarter we have signature menu. That's pretty much it.
And what's the with a signature menu? You this way you sort of make your menu different every time, or what's the idea?
It came from the question to when I first Flask was a pandemic solution that I wanted to focus on coffee because I realized that people, even your quarantine, you still need to be socialized because in reality of our life is relational and social. Without that, we can't really live. So I knew that there would be demand. So I focused on the Flask Coffee. And then when I did the research, everybody, like all the coffee shops under different name, but the menu wise is identical twins. Everybody had the same menu.
I see.
Espresso, Americano, latte, cappuccino, and rough. Like people who don't like who like sweet coffee.
When you say cappuccino, I'm instantly reminded of Nusret. Do you follow Nusret on Instagram? The Turkish steakhouse owner, like the
Solpe.
He has this series of videos where he says cappuccino. And someone made a parody. Someone made a parody, like Nusret is going to a grocery store, and they have a shopping list. What is in the shopping list? Oregano, tomato. What else? Like whatever. Everything ends with O. Anyway, like it's sort of a very funny parody. We could link up in the show notes. So you were saying?
Yeah. So everybody, and then strategy-wise, because like we were trying to do specialty coffee, but not everyone is understanding. Like, but then we still need to make the sustainable business. Then we need to have the menu that almost everybody,
So this is a way to differentiate yourself from everyone else.
Exactly. So and then my barista first came and said, "Oh, we need to have a rough." I said, "Why?" Because everybody has a rough. Yeah, that's why I don't want to have a rough. So, and then I said them why don't we have our signature drink then? Let's create our own menu. Because nobody had the signature menu back then. No, I don't want to put rough in my menu at all. Because then we'll become the same coffee shop. That's a bit different. So we start creating the signature menu. So we create a lot of signature menus, and it actually became really fun because it's almost like a team building with the baristas. They always try and come, "Hey, Chihoon, try this, whatever this." And it's like, it's nice, but it's too sweet. I was like, "Oh, let me try again." So it become it's really fun experimental activities. So in our team, and then many other coffee shops start making a signature coffee as well. So I was like, wow, that's great. And then we start thinking, okay, now we are not unique anymore. So how can we make our menu unique? Let's be creative on naming these drinks. So I think it's last summer, I think we started making really funny and fun names. So all the names actually I named almost all of them. So basically this summer series menu is we have coffee with with a peach lemonade, and it's I made it, I don't know, let's call it son of a peach, something like that.
That's funny.
And then there's a one drinks that has we use the gold leaves glittering. It's really glitter, It's it looks it feels like dancing at the Met Gala. So we call it dancing at the Met Gala.
Nice.
And then there's a one with a tea, with a Japanese tea, with a also kind of yuzu or something so it's oh, what is famous is, and then is a flower on top. I was I feel I'm in the Kyoto festival. So let's call it Kyoto Festival. So and then we have a lot of creative names.
It's an outlet for your creativity to just come up
exactly.
with
So and then instead of calling peach lemonade, it's more interesting to your guests to see it, son of a peach. I was what is that? I want to try.
Yeah.
And then I realized that actually it's really boosting our sales on the signature item. Yeah, because you make people curious, and so
that's smart.
It was really fun. So this is kind of and then we always invite guests before we launching the signature menu. We always make an open call, so that, oh, please register. So then we will do degustation with you guys. So we always let our guests to try first this thing, and then it's more like a community engagement. You want to always engage in your guests. I think it's very important.
Very nice. I was going to ask you that when you come to Flask yourself, what's your typical order? What do you get for food, and what do you get in terms of a drink?
That's actually really interesting. I always for coffee. It's my first coffee at Flask, I normally order espresso. And I say, hey, can I have an espresso?
Okay.
And I was like, what do you have? Oh, we have this. Okay, I have an espresso. And then I usually order the filter coffee, the pour over.
Afterwards.
Yeah, afterwards.
When it comes to food, let's say you haven't eaten, what would you order?
If I go to the Kurmangazi, the center location, I usually order either if it's in the morning, either sakshuka or suruniki. If in the lunchtime, I usually order the Thunder Sando, which is our chicken sandwich. So that's I recently started ordering ramen. We have chicken breast ramen.
As a restaurateur, I was always curious, like how many times a week do you actually eat at home?
I eat breakfast at home almost every day, and lunch almost outside. Dinner outside. Probably 2 times
50,
a week. 2 times a week, and I eat at home.
Oh, the rest is meetings.
Restaurant meetings. I eat at my place, or going someone else, and I want to check other restaurants as well. So I go to other restaurants.
When it comes to other restaurants, what are some of your favorite sort of top 3 restaurants in Almaty?
I think I really
the ones you like. You keep coming. Yeah.
Keep coming. There is like La Barca it's a very expensive restaurant.
Yeah.
But I really like their fish. Yeah, fish. Actually, I go there for fish. And
is it fresh? I've never been there. The fish is fresh.
Yeah, it's very fresh. I mean, their food in general is really good. Actually, I really like. And where I go, I go to. I like Thai food. So I go to like there's
White Elephant. No,
Bangkok.
Oh, I never been there.
Their noodles are okay, but their curries are good. So I go there.
I'm looking for recommendations, so that's why I'm asking. Okay.
Yeah. Definitely check it out. And then I think I also go to where I go. I used to go to Spicy Mantra when they were in the old location.
I've been there.
Yeah, but now they moved to the new location.
You don't like it?
I haven't been there physically, but I order by delivery.
You like it? You like Indian food?
I like their like the bean soup, and then their curries as well. I'm a very curry person.
Got it.
So I love curries.
Do you like Japanese curry?
I love Japanese curry too.
So
yeah.
Sort of Indo-Japanese.
Yeah. So
there's some vending machines in Japan like where you can order like just you press
exactly.
The button.
Yeah. That's
it's nice.
I wish we have a lot more food varieties. You know.
I love sort of Japanese curry as well.
Yeah, I love it. Like we should have more Thai place, Vietnamese place. I think is.
When you're craving for some sort of Korean food, where do you go?
Oh, there is one place called Korean barbecue gogichip.
Is it in Ritz Palace? Yeah, or
no? I think it's in.
Kogichi. It's called
gogichip.
Gogichip.
It's a house of meat.
Never been there. Okay,
it's a new one. It's very clean, very nice, and I usually go there because it's like other Korean restaurants are really far.
Yeah,
there's like one other called. If you want more like home type of Korean food, not the meat, then there's a restaurant called Imone. It's like means like aunt's house. So they have some nice like jjigae kind of stew type of thing, spicy food like thing. It's really good. But in terms of barbecue, I go to and then I love also local Korean food. I love guksi as well. So I forgot the name of the place. It's in near Mega. It's on Rosbakeva Street. So there's a one big one. And then I go there for guksi and some local Korean food.
Interesting. Do you like Japanese food by chance?
I love Japanese food.
What's your favorite Japanese restaurant in Almaty or Kazakhstan?
In Kazakhstan, to be honest, I don't
Nothing,
have any.
Right?
Yeah, no. Actually, there is one in Kyrgyzstan. It's called Furusato. This is literally, I think, is the best Japanese restaurant.
Furusato means like a hometown.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. And the owner is Japanese.
So it's authentic.
Yeah, it's very authentic.
There used to be an authentic Japanese place called Kabuto in Almaty. It was owned by Japanese, but I think the place was burned down, unfortunately.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I used to love going there. It means a helmet, samurai's helmet.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. I miss Japanese food here. I mean, I would love to go all the time. I mean,
Yeah.
whenever I go to Bishkek, I go to Fursato. So.
I think that's another reason to go to Bishkek because I'm missing some good Japanese food.
Yeah.
Interesting. So you recently opened a bar. Tell us sort of your insights and lessons from a bar business. It's a very different business from coffee and let's say a food, sort of a restaurant, sort of fried chicken business. How is it different? What have you learned?
And how it's called?
It's called Miro, Miro. Is inside of the Art Point. Is basically like the cultural community, like a bar hopping space where there is a lot of like cultural events and art exhibitions and different kind of performances there. It's a very interesting place, but it's not so popular because it's in the summertime. Everyone wants to go outside, but it's indoor.
Oh, that's interesting insight.
Yeah.
So
it's indoor.
in the winter, the sales are higher, right?
In winter, I think winter is gonna be good. But summertime it's tough.
A lot of things competing for your attention. You can go out. You can
Exactly. Yeah. And the thing is, I don't really drink, so for me it's very hard to understand. But I as I said, I mean the similar tactics. I love creating the community that where people meet and then they share it, they talk. So I think I open with these other partners, other friends, and it's not how to say it's very interesting. I'm still learning actually. It's very new. And then I think as a bar business, the most important thing is who I think is not. I think is in Almaty is very important. The who are going to your bar.
Yeah. There's actually like several communities.
Exactly.
Yeah.
because they attract everyone else.
Yeah,
right?
because like I don't want to go where
No one else is, right?
no one else is or like my type of people, you know what I mean?
Right.
So I think as a bar has to be very, very specific target group.
On that note, I think you have an amazing partner, a mutual friend, Timur.
Yeah.
He's like a bar guy. Like
He's like, yeah, he knows everybody. He's like, yeah, I'm very lucky to have him because he's like always there.
he likes to sort of be building communities as well.
Exactly, yeah, and he's such a nice guy. So he can talk to people. For
My
me,
first time visiting your place was for his birthday.
yes,
Sort of, and that's actually a good point. Like you come to a bar because of the crew, the group of who
yeah,
goes-
absolutely. So I think it's very important bar business. Who is the face of the bar, or what kind of type, what kind of people you're targeting, and then is there like people like want to feel identity, and then so is there like if you are like I'd say like creative like beer loving hipster, and then you want to go to craft beer place where like your friends or your type of people, same interest people are going there.
Yeah.
And you don't want to go to like fancy cocktail bar or vice versa. You were like to drink like nice cocktail, but then this art point space it has everything. So it's actually has a potential at the same time challenging. We had a meeting, like the biggest challenge is that we have 8 bars inside. Everyone is different. We're targeting different people. And because of that, people come, maybe they might not have a good experience because it's not like they're comfortable crowds, Like, so, but at the same time, maybe this can be the only bar that brings all people together.
Right,
So
right. It's like a sort of an app store for bars.
Exactly.
Single place.
Exactly. So we're always talking like how can we execute it properly so that because this kind of bar has never really been existing. So let's make it happen. So that's what we're trying to do.
Very cool. One more thing I learned actually on that day when I was visiting Miro was the fact that you entered a modeling business.
Yeah.
So tell us about that adventure.
So it's called Boost Talent.
I think a lot of men will be envious of you.
So yeah. The main goal is to promote Central Asian talents, young generations outside of Central Asia, basically. So our main goal is we don't want to call ourselves just a modeling agency. We start with the models because they are like talented people, and then like Central Asian beauty has not been really recognized in the world. So what our plan is to introduce them to the more developed market in the fashion industry, like in Korea, Japan, Hong Kong, starting the Asia, and then further. And then our main goal is not to remain as a model agency, but to become more like actually just a talent agency. So like if you are like influencer, blogger, or YouTuber or something, we can represent you. We can but not now, but that's our plan. So or we can do like content creating, and also so we are very interested in overall this all like talent, like creative like people. So but why we chose model, because it's very straightforward and easy at the beginning, and it's that industry that business model has been existing, so it was very easy to enter. But my partner, I have a partner, his name is Shane. He and I really shared our vision that let's like make this the company not only for the models but for all the talented people here in Central Asia. Like we give.
Very cool. When you start a modeling agency, let's say, do you like organize a competition to attract all the models to come to you, or how do you?
We always do casting. So basically, we do open casting.
Gotcha.
So we promote it on Instagram. And
how do you attract models? Like, what do you promise as a result of this casting? Like 1 out of 10 will be picked, or what's the idea?
Yeah, so basically a lot of people send us messages and then send us their CVs and or portfolios if we already have a model. But what we're actually actively looking for hidden gems. Not the models that have been already working in that industry.
Yes.
But we are encouraging anyone to come and then be like, and then normally we choose based on they can apply, and then we invite certain number of people
for casting.
Yeah, so like they come and then we invite them to the shooting, and then we shoot there, and then we review it, and then we choose who can be potential
represent. And then once you pick a talent, do you then sort of advertise them to your corporate partners?
Yeah, so that's actually, we've been very lucky because a lot of companies, they start contacting me here, like Pepsi, Splash, and a lot of companies, they are contacting us, hey, we need your models. And then we've been really active. We didn't expect this at all, because our main primary goal is to send models to Korea or Japan. But then we didn't expect that a lot of local companies want to work with us. So yeah, it has been really fun. Last Saturday we had the party for our models. So me and my partner, our goal is not to like actively like give them really hard condition to work. Like we give them really good condition. We give, like, if it's local market, we give them like, I think is like 80%.
No, 80-20. So you give the 20%.
With 20, they're 80.
Very
so
good.
Which is very high in the industry standard. Yes. Because we realize that our main goal is to make sure that our models are happy with us. They should have a good experience with us. And then we're very happy when they actually, being more successful. This is very.
And your plan is to then bring them to Japan and Korea, right?
Yeah.
Where you already have some partnerships and potential companies.
So we already sent the models com card to about 30 different agencies. We are talking with a few of them, and then some of them they are interested in some of the models that we have. And one of them is the biggest model agency in Korea. They contacted us and then interested in a specific model. Like, we're very happy. We didn't expect to hear from them, but I was
No, that's actually a good point. Like, so when sort of foreigners come here, they usually sort of mesmerized by the sort of local beauty, but they are not not well known outside of the country, and so it's a great mission to sort of popularize it and
not just
popular worldwide.
Not just female models, also male
models as well. Yeah. Very nice. You also sort of partnered, became a partner in a fashion business. What is it? What is that about?
I love fashion. I love street fashion. It's been my like, I don't know. It's like I always wanted to be unique since I was young, and also like fashion is one of the ways to represent yourself. And recently we found one. Actually, I accidentally met one guy. Actually, at a coffee shop, at another coffee shop, and then the one girl was like, "Hey, I like your shoes." I was like, "Oh, thank you." And then, and I was like, and then, like, and we were talking, and she was like, "Oh, I would love to go to Korea as a model." I was like, "Wait a second, I have a model agency." Like, I take a photo and send it to my partner.
I also have a coffee shop.
Yeah, this is really funny. And then the girl who talked to me, "Oh, I like your shoes," she became our model, and she works as a barista at Flask right now.
Nice.
That's funny, you know. And then her boyfriend was at that time working for this fashion brand. And it's like, "Oh, what do you do here?" And then I was like, "Oh, he showed me like the brand." I was a really, really cool brand, really cool, like very modern, very practical, and like also inspired by nature. Is very outdoor. We have the brand is called Fuzzz, and I really liked it. And we set out a meeting, and at the beginning we didn't expect, and then we asked them like, "Oh, why you are not being so active here?" La la la, and then realized that they have some financial difficulties. So me and my partners, they're like, we decided to invest on this business. I think as they're super talented people, I think they need a stage to perform. So maybe we we do this. So then we actually, it's our first, the season production is about to finish. And we are planning to do a pop-up 17th of June. And Flask in Kurmangazi, we're gonna decorate the whole space, and then we're gonna do pop-up. So if you're interested in like this kind of street fashion, and I highly recommend for you to come.
So this is for your target audience is the youth, I assume, street fashion.
Yeah. So people who love fashion. So if you see like very unique, more like it's not very typical fashion here. It's like more like a wide pants, more loosened feet, but very unique design, and the hats are amazingly beautiful. For me, I've never seen this kind of brand here. So as soon as I saw this brand, I was like, I called my partner. I say, the model agency partner. I was like, "Hey, this is very related to the fashion, which we're doing modeling agency, which is very related to each other. So I think we have to look into it." And then he had a meeting actually, and he come to me and say, "Hey, actually, we have a chance to invest on this business." I was like, "Oh, let's do it then." So then we talked to the founder and say, "Look, just focus on production design. We'll do all the management." And he was like, "Thank you so much," because it's been like really tough for him to managing the business
operations. Yeah,
exactly. So
and did you bring your team to help him with that management?
No, just me and my partner. It's a very small still. So, but then we Flask opened the HQ office, roastery. And then the Fuzzz is in one of the rooms. They took one of the rooms, and then they are actually working there.
Got it.
So it's like more, and then yeah.
Interesting. The style, the fashion piece, right? So you definitely have a very unique style, and sort of clearly, your sort of passion for fashion sort of speaks through. Let's give some advice to a fresh college graduate, just graduated from college, 21, 22 years old, doesn't have sort of a bit strapped on cash. Just starting out his career. What's your advice on how to look good?
How to look good?
Yes, for a fresh college graduate when they don't have unlimited money to spend.
That's a very good question. Yeah, that was me when I was graduated from college. I think a lot of people think that they have to wear everyday different clothes, and so I only have one T-shirt. I cannot like. I think it's fine to wear the same clothes every day. To be honest with me, because it before maybe might look like weird, but now it's actually not. I mean, given the fact that we have like Steve Jobs, who's always wear the same clothes.
Yes.
I think it's my recommendation is to like check like online, Instagram, and like, what kind of style you like, and then it not necessarily sometimes I like this style doesn't mean that it's gonna look good on me. I think it's the easiest way to do it. Find the right color for you, because for me, the green.
What's your color?
My favorite is like I like either like a greenish, bluish colors look good on me. But I can never wear like orange or these kind of colors because I have very similar color skin.
Gotcha.
So it doesn't look good on me. So I like khaki or even green, not bright green, like this kind of khaki greens is I like.
What about black?
I love black and white. Yeah, black and white I think is good on everybody.
Got it.
That one is good on everybody.
What about red?
Yeah,
Red?
red is quite difficult. Yeah, that's actually a good point. It's like I recommend if you don't know what color you want to wear, just black and white.
Okay.
It's always safe. You wear like black pants and white t-shirts or black pants and black shirts, or like that's very, very simple and look good. And you can highlight. So I usually wear very pale, like neutral color, black, white shirts, black pants, and maybe shoes. Like you give a highlight on shoes. For example, like you can wear like blue shoes or white.
Okay, so you pick like black and white shirt and sort of pants, but then you sort of
and then I would rather save up some money to buy one good item rather than like few like cheap like not cheap ones, like few like
low quality ones.
Few like that's my recommendation always. Like first of find out the style that you like, and then find the color that it's fit on you, and find the style that. So the best way to I always recommend that go with your friends who is fashionable. Go to the mall like Dostik Plaza or Mega, and then go every brand and try them on, because it's free to try them on. You don't have to buy. That's like a best thing. And then you look at the mirror and do I look good? Let it go. And then you know your style, and then just out of all the options, just find the best quality you can wear for a long time, and then just wear them for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned Steve Jobs. You had jeans and turtleneck. You had, I don't know, Mark Zuckerberg. New Balance shoes. That's a good point. Yeah, and Zuckerberg, he has a gray T-shirt with typically jeans, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know about his shoes. Who else? Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA, has a very signature. His company just reached $1 trillion valuation. He has his signature leather jacket. He's so cool. Like when you look at him, he's like a sort of like straight from a Harley Davidson bike. He just comes to the stage and talks about AI and chips and I don't know, CUDA, one of the coolest entrepreneurs out there. I think this signature uniforms is very cool. Like, what would be your uniform if you have one?
I usually wear very unique stuff. For example, like I like pants. So top usually I wear very simple, either like big white shirts or like this kind of t-shirts. But
super wide.
Usually wide.
Usually wide.
Yeah, these days.
Nice.
Yeah, but pants are I usually really pay attention to it because it's even these pants is very unique style. So like a lot of pockets, big and a very unique design. So and they're not necessarily expensive. This is from Korea.
Do they typically bright color, dark color?
I usually I don't for pants. I don't usually wear like either black or like this kind of beigey color.
Gotcha.
Like or denim.
What about shoes?
Oh,
What's
yeah,
your go-to shoes?
I love sneakers. I love sneakers. So I have a lot of shoes. Shoes I usually choose to either, if it's very simple top and bottom, I choose really bright orange shoes, or sometimes, or if I wear black pants, I have a white shirts. Maybe I can wear the white sneakers to kind of match it. Or sometimes I match my shoes with my hat. If I wear like blue hat, and then I'll probably match with blue shoes or something instead of another green. Or black and white is safe for any color. So that way that you don't give it too much colors from your look instead of like highlight. If you make like, for example, all like simple white, and also accessories are also very important. Like sometimes you only wear like big white shirts and then it looks like empty. So then I sometimes wear a necklace. And yeah, that's what I do. And also socks. Sometimes socks is important.
Yes.
Yes.
Do you do what type of socks do you usually wear?
I normally wear black or white.
Black or white?
Yeah, black or white.
Interesting. Our son loves to have different socks, like orange left and then the white.
That's cool. Yeah,
black.
yeah.
It's different. It's never a pair. It's sort of
that's good. Yeah. That's cool. Yeah,
I think he's giving some glimpses of fashion, I think.
That's good. That's good. I think he has a potential. Definitely.
Interesting.
Yeah, not many kids are doing this.
So talking about the art, what are some of your influences? Maybe some artists, musicians who influenced you a lot?
I really like Vincent van Gogh because of his story. I read his book, and then it was very interesting because somehow similar to me, and then you like you get really attached to this artist. And I loved his like color works, and among also my favorite artist is in terms of color, I love Kandinsky works. It's very like this abstract works, and then how he choose the color is amazing. I used to go to MoMA. There's a like Guggenheim Museum has one of the biggest Kandinsky collection. I used to go there. I just write down what color he used for this painting, and I come home and I just try that color in my painting, something like that.
So he found sort of a combination of colors which work really well, huh?
Exactly. So I like how the colors are like next to each other, and then the composition of colors are, for me, it's very very important. And then he literally like a master of color. So I love Kandinsky, and also I used to I like the impressionist artist works.
Monet,
and like Monet, Manet,
Cézanne,
Paul Cézanne, Paul Gauguin, Van Gogh, and all these artists, or like Lenoir. These are like my favorite era of the artist. And also I like the 1960s old Jackson Pollock, Andy Warhol, like also
Campbell Soup.
I love artists, or like the Basquiat.
Let's I have quite a few acquaintances. I actually was one of them myself, who would come to a museum, and say, why would people come spend time here? I just don't get it. And then you would come in and you leave. This was the case until I visited MoMA. Somehow I have zero interest in like a sort of very old art, but the modern art somehow speaks to me because I can relate. I understand what was happening sort of in 60s and 70s, sort of. I understand what Campbell Soup is, so to speak, right? Or I understand, I don't know, who Muhammad Ali or Marilyn Monroe
Elvis Presley,
right? I can relate. Sort of, what's your suggestion to someone who just don't get why you should go to art museums? How do you understand art? What would be your 101?
People don't get it because they go to museum because they feel like they need to go to museum.
Right.
That's why they don't get it,
Yes.
Like you're not really interested, and you go there and you feel like, if I go to museum, I feel like maybe I get something where I feel like I go to museum,
Check mark.
Yeah, check mark.
Yeah.
That's why you don't get it. I think, like same, like everybody has their own, like coffee, everybody's their own favorite flavor. I did art as well. Not everyone, like that's the one of the beautiful thing about art. You don't have to, like, this specific work doesn't have to be liked by everyone.
Yeah.
And maybe 99% can hate this work, and if 1% loves this one, I think this one is pretty decent reason to be existed, I think.
So pick your own thing, right?
Yeah, I think it's having your own taste is very important, and then not afraid to tell that you like this one, because a lot of people who don't know, they are afraid of tell their opinions because I don't know about art. Maybe like, what do you think about this art? Do you like it? If your friend that knows art, they say this is good, and then you believe that this is good.
Right.
I think that's
not how it works.
That's not the right approach. I think you just go, and then this work will speak to you, and
develop your own taste.
And then if you don't like it, just skip it. I wouldn't spend there just because like I need to spend here. I need to love art, and then like you don't like, let's say, 15th, 14th century's religious art.
Yeah.
Then if you don't like it, then why would you spend time there? I would go to the next room where is a contemporary art, modern art. There's so many different sculptures. Like you don't have to like painting. You can like video art. You can like, there's so many mediums. And then you just go and see, and then like, if you don't like it, I would dig into it. Like, I spend more time looking at those art. And I think that's the best way. I mean, to me, that's what I do. I don't go to every room when I go to the museum, but I would rather spend longer time the rooms that I really like.
That's a good point. I mean, the longest time I spent in a museum was in Hong Kong. It was an exhibition. It was a Bruce Lee exhibition. 5 hours. I came in. It was his real artifacts, organized by his daughter, so Bruce Lee Foundation. I think it's sort of the exhibition was only running for 5 years. I think they already stopped, but they basically displayed all his letters and nunchucks and clothing, and I don't know, his diary, and you could just see his entire life. Because I was such a big fan, I read all his books that spoke to me. I wouldn't spend this time in, like, I don't know, in Smithsonian Museum, or I don't know, like Museum of Natural History. Actually, the sort of Science Museum in Boston, I really loved. That I loved. I loved it. I remember this. I actually went there with my siblings and my parents. I remember how they demoed the normal the Gaussian distribution with like balls falling down, and then they're naturally having this sort of a Gaussian shape. Sort of it shows how it exists in nature. I loved it. So okay, maybe like there are only two museums which I loved: the Science Museum in Boston and this exhibition in Hong Kong. I mean, the letter I really enjoyed was his. It's 1969. He was 29 years old. He was injured. He had 2 kids. No income because he was injured. He could not tutor his students. No movie invitations anymore. So he was struggling. His career is not going anywhere because Hollywood is not inviting Asian actors. And so he wrote this manifest. I am Bruce Lee. In 70s will become the highest paid Oriental superstar. And for that, I will in exchange for that success, I will return my best performances as an actor and martial artist and so forth. And it actually happened.
Right.
Yeah, and it's sort of a really inspiring.
That's great. I should check it out. Wow.
Yeah, it's sort of a manifest he wrote.
Right.
I think he was reading Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow, and there's a template where you have to just fill in your. You have a template and just fill in your side, and you make it's like sort of like part of a contract. Hey, I want this, but it doesn't come for free. You have to give something in return.
Right.
Like how Arnold is saying, Arnold Schwarzenegger, he's like, a lot of people want to be me, but are you willing to spend 8 hours in the gym? Not really. I mean, 6 a.m. in the gym every day. Are you willing to pay this price? Yeah, that means you don't really want that life that much.
Exactly. So a lot of people just when they see the, it's almost like this. People only see what is already been. I mean, that's successful outside. They don't see the behind. For example, I see like you are in the. I always help like this. I call it like you're in the like theater audience effect. Basically, you go to the theater, you see the dancers' performance, like you're amazed by it, but you don't really know how they trained a bit in the behind the stage to be at the stage. So without that training, they would never be able to perform like that.
Right.
So they only see the show like, oh, I want to be like that, and then they don't really know how what it takes to.
Are you
get
willing
there.
to do the other part as well? Because it comes
Exactly.
It comes
Exactly.
as
Yeah.
a pair.
Yeah.
Arman said that no one wanted Asian actress in Hollywood, but right now things
That's a good
changed.
transition.
Yeah, let's talk about Korean boost in Hollywood and in general in
It's a great
worldwide.
transition.
I think this. I think that's a great question because I mean one of the key differences between me and my friends here and the local friends, like a lot of local friends, they grew up listening American pop music, Western pop music or something. I grew up solely listening to Korean music, and when
21? No?
No, when it was, I'm actually older than a lot older. So basically, the funny thing is that when I was young, if you're listening to Western pop music, American pop music, you're a very unique person because everybody grew up listening to Korean pop music. So I think that's so I think the K-pop became really successful not because of its idols, but that industry has been existing for like 30, 40 years at least. There was like, they're like, how to say, their knowledges, know-hows, all this, how to write the music, I think they are really, really doing like, how to say, they've been existing for a long time. It just recently become
So
recognized.
it's like similar to Samsung, who was developing inside the country and it's blown.
Yeah. Basically, like keeping the signature identity in music, and then it become. That's why they call it K-pop now. It's become their specific style instead of copying other music style and then like everybody.
What are some of the features of K-pop style? What is it about?
A lot of ballads. And then I think is the idol is also the first generation idol is Sotaeji idol, which is Sotaejian boys. These are the legendary group that inspire almost all the idol groups in Korea, all the producers in Korea, and then one of the members became the biggest producer in Korea, like YG, like Big Bang, 21. He's the producer. So they are the first generation, and then they know that they became an industry. So the good and bad thing is that Korea is like Korean people are really good at optimizing, like meaning they know how to optimize to turn some idea into the business. So they realize that this like Korean idol groups are really, really, really popular. And then definitely I think it's internet really, really boosted the Korean music. Without YouTube, I don't think K-pop would be here now. Without internet.
What's the secret? Like they sing Korean. I mean, but they're popular everywhere around the world where people don't even speak Korean. They don't understand what these people are saying. What's the secret behind the success?
I think it's because it's different. Everyone is like, for example, like same. I think this is what I believe. I think is also Korean pop music, the dancers, and then like in American music, in the Western music is a more chill, like people are not really dancing exactly the same. They just, group, they're more like a band. But then there's a like pretty, very pretty boys, handsome boys, and beautiful girls, and then they are in a group, and then they exactly move the exactly same, and then they sing really, really well, they dance really, really, really well. Like it's really entertaining to just look at it instead of before music really associate with listening, right? You're listening to music. But K-pop, what they did is just like they visualizing the music. So you look at the stage effect, the lightings, the video, and all the
drama.
Yeah, the music video is it's like a short film.
It is.
Before, like if you see the other music video in other countries, it's just they focus on the music and singers.
Right.
But if you see the Korean music video, even before back in 90s, it's like a movie. It's a short film. It has a story inside. So that's why it become like more like interesting. It's like from the music that we are listening to, but the music that you're looking at.
Right.
So it's like it stimulates another sense.
Right. Your eyes.
Yeah, I think and then visualization is. Yeah, I mean, I don't know when I think visualization now is has never been so effective and important. Like until now, I think it's like everything is like, before your speech, now we have to have like the presentation, like these things.
Keynote, yeah.
Exactly. So the visual effect is extremely important, and I think that made and then also Korean music became popular in Japan first.
Yes.
And then South America. The reason is that it's also cultural differences in Japan. If you are a man, you almost never say "I love you" to your wife or your girlfriend.
Right.
They almost never say "아이시대로."
Yes.
But they instead
They never say 사랑해.
Yeah. They express in a different way. But in Korea, it's opposite. The Korean men are always
We say 사랑해?
all
Really?
the time. All
Wow.
the time. They're very sweet. They carry your bag. The typical Korean like thing is that drama thing kind of is that like women wear high heel, right? But it fits hurting you walk long time, and then Korean men come like say like, hey, like let's swap. So then they men give their sneakers to the girlfriends. The girlfriend fits comfortable, and then the guys just carrying the heels with the barefoot. It's kind of like, oh, they're so romantic. Yes. That's lovely.
They share an umbrella.
Exactly.
As
And-
TikTok trends, many.
Exactly. Because you know what? But Korea is not like that. My father's generation is very masculine. Very masculine. They never cook. They never, change the diaper.
You broke your shoes? Okay, that's your problem.
Exactly. And then even my grandparents' generation, they don't even walk together. Always like men first, woman is following. That's what social status. But then what's happening in Korea is like they prefer the son. So they give birth to a lot of sons. So the rate between men and women was a lot more men. So for men, it become a lot more competitive to men and women. So then it start changing, the competition. So how to be a boyfriend of the most popular beautiful girl. And then now woman is in charge. They can demand. I don't like the masculine men. They're so disgusting. They're not good. We want sweet men. And then the man has to change. We need to evolve. You have to be someone that can be popular, right? Then my generation, my father and me, how we like approach to woman is extremely different. So we become more sweet. We start cooking. We start making, some sweet things.
You give chocolate on Valentine's Day.
Exactly. And then
So you just suggested a great idea how to beat patriarchy. Just let more men to be alive in the world.
yeah,
Be born.
exactly.
And
They
then
say-
it will be beat.
There'll be more competition.
Imagine like if you have a lot more men than women in your country, I'm sure the men will be a lot sweeter. Like
Interesting. It's an interesting observation. What are some of your favorite K-pop music videos, if anything comes to mind?
there is a one specific singer who started this music video type thing. Normally your song is like 3 minutes. And in Korean, music videos are like
7 minutes.
like normally music videos like 3.5, 4 minutes, like with some effect. But this guy his name is Jo Sung-mo. Back in late 90s, he came out with a music video with the actual movie. Like I think it's 10 minutes or something. Back then it was sensational. I still remember the storyline. It was the love in the Vietnam War, the background, the context, and I still remember. You see how the visualization is. I don't really know the lyrics, but I don't know how the story went.
I see.
See that's I think that's still like a memorable.
It's actually such a powerful point you made about these music videos.
Yeah.
I can recall. You tell me like any music videos you recall it from anywhere in the world. I mean, I think I'll come up with 4, and all of them will be Korean because they are like memorable films.
Gangnam Style.
No. I mean, apart from that will be 5.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember the one where. Okay, I remember the song from 21 where a girl is dropped by a guy, and then she's so angry at him, and she wins him in a car race, because she sees him with another woman, and then in a car race, he's also a car racer. She not only wins him, she actually sort of drives into his car, and like it explodes.
Wow.
And then it's like, and when she's like moving with her 3 girlfriends like a heroes, with a car burning in the background. Sort of.
Wow.
That's very memorable. Or another one where a photographer. This is like was very popular in my high school days. A photographer guy. He loved this girl he met on the streets, and then she accidentally dropped some liquid used by photographers on her eyes. She lost her eyesight, and then he gave up his eyes to her. Right? Do you remember that one?
No,
it's like
I don't remember.
Very old, like
wow,
from 90s. Another one I remember is from I think I can't remember generation.
Girls' Generation.
Girls' Generation.
Yeah.
Yes, like 9 girls, very bright colors. And then, I mean, I remember the song. We play it in the back. It's like so memorable.
Yeah.
Everyone, actually, on that note, like one thing I love about Kpop is that it's very. Even those 9 ladies in that band, they all have a different character.
Yeah.
One is a sort of a smart with glasses. One is very sort of flirtatious.
Yeah.
And when they pick and cast, they have to fit that personality because they want to sort of appeal to different audiences.
Yeah,
someone likes. Yeah,
that's a very good point, because if you think about it, like recently, even the corporate culture, before it was like one boss was very charismatic, and then this boss like made his company very successful or something like that. But nowadays it's all about startups. You think about it, the teamwork, right? The synergy is very important. I think the K-pop groups are like, it brings out the synergy, like a really create the synergy from all each members. Because I heard that when they create the idol, they always thinking about like you are the best singer in their team, you're the best talker in the team, you're the funniest guy. So they give the roles to each member, so then they actually perform in that way. They highlight, they stress that way what their strength, so that when in the team, so it creates the fandom that, oh, I like this member, I like this member, I like this member, right. And then they really expand their the fan base, because everyone has a very unique character, even though they look exactly identical twins. I'm just kidding. So yeah, it's a very interesting part actually.
Very cool. So basically what we observing is that South Korea started from producing domestic stuff, then started exporting their goods like Samsung, and now they're exporting its culture, which in a flywheel effect actually leads to more sales of Korean goods, because if you are listen to Korean music, it's more likely that you will be seeing some Korean brands in those music videos. You will be buying Korean smartphones, Korean TVs, Korean microwave, everything else, right? So do you think Kazakhstan can emulate this? Do you see any potential there in terms of culture?
And how to find our nation, identity.
I think it's like I think so. Any country is possible. It's just like need to be like having like same as what we talk about the restaurants, like what are the uniqueness that we have here. Then we really need to focus on they strengthen that part to like then I think there will be a definitely potential, and then of course that requires a lot of competition as well, like because without competition people like it's really hard to grow really fast. Like I don't think Europe developed first because of their smarter people than us. I think because of the competition was there, because all the way a competition is a war, and then you to survive that European continent, and then different groups of they fight war. The war is a competition, so they develop like better weapons, better technology, and that's why they develop that area first. Whereas like other like for example in like here, like everything is very peaceful. Even though there's some tribes are competing, but it's not the same level of competition in Europe. So I think we need to give more babies. Give more babies.
Right. Yeah, I think Kazakhstan is like approaching 20 million.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah. I think it's
getting better.
And then I think the tactics are different now. Back in the days, of course you have to close your the walls and then develop inside first and go outside it. But I think it's the same approach these days is not going to work, in my opinion. I think it's use a different tactic, basically opposite, like even more open to the foreign investors. And I think Kazakhstan is a really big land, so we like developing the country is like open for more investors coming in. I think it's like basically that's what Vietnam or China did before. Like Korean case is very unique, so I don't think here we can kind of use that tactic to achieve the same success. And then also it's not really an ideal success in my opinion. There's a lot of social problems, so I think there should be the healthier way and the Kazakh way to
the Q way.
Q way to do it. I think that's more important.
Interesting. So you are involved in so many different businesses.
Yeah.
How do you split your time? How do you have, I don't know, Mondays coffee shops, Tuesdays bars? How do you split your time?
So basically I really focus on what I am really good at it. So most of operation is done by for Flask and Chickenstar here is my wife is helping me a lot. She has her job, but she's really good at project managing all these kind of things. So she's helping me, like she's managing our operation and team. So that's really for me like big burden is just like, I don't have. So I'm more focusing on like vision part, the direction part, more like future part. So normally my day would be in the morning. I would go to the SNTI location to check the emails and drink coffee, check there. And then that's on the way. After I drop my son at the kindergarten, I go to SNTI. And then I work there. I go to gym and then I pick up my son. I go to Kurmangazi location. And then I also check there. And then I work there a little bit. And every 2 weeks I go to Bishkek. And then my partner, all the model agency and the fashion, the brand part is that, and he's working at for LG, so he has a day job in the weekday. So normally these meetings either in the evening or in the weekends. And Sunday is our family day, so I don't usually put anything there. So Sunday we spend time with the family like this. So I think it's the most important thing is for me to be healthy and like how to say it. Maintain my health. Trying to go to the gym all the time. And
do you go to a gym in the middle of a day typically?
I usually go
1, 12.
Yeah, either I usually go like 1 p.m. 1 to 2:30. That's my gym time. And and then I normally do just like fast walking and just basic workout,
aerobic exercise.
Yeah. And that's and then evening time I'm trying not to work these days, but in the morning time I usually do like trying to check every locations, but I create my route, and then that's how I do.
What's your vision for all the businesses you own? Like, I mean, you mentioned it's a very compelling vision for Flask. Where do you see Flask in, I don't know, in 5 to 10 years?
So my business vision is very, very clear. My vision is to make the world more joyful than the day before. That has been my vision for all my business. So for me, the building more sustainable business model, it's not necessarily the biggest, the most profitable business, but more like healthy, more like socially responsible, resilient, sustainable business model. That's my vision, because I truly believe that we need to give the better word to the next generation, and so that's for Flask. My goal is to promote more sustainable coffee supply chain, and then that's in the business model wise, and coffee quality wise to provide the world level coffee in Central Asia. So next 5 years we want to we want to have at least 1 or 2 the coffee competition finalist from Kazakhstan. That's my goal, and having very healthy coffee chains throughout the country. Not the number of shops, but was a very good model for the coffee industry, for the local market, so that we have constantly good providing a better experience to our guests, so that they can trust us. We want to be most trusted coffee shop rather than the biggest coffee shop.
Are you open to packaging it as a franchise business, or you would prefer to own it?
I prefer not to do franchise.
Okay.
Because I want to make sure that every location we have is under the same vision. But Kazakhstan is a big country. I don't know how can I manage if I have a location in Atrao, for example, or Shimken. In the case, even if I look for the franchisee, then I have to do very serious interview to share the vision, and maybe it can be possible, but it's gonna be very, very difficult to find a right partner.
Gotcha. We have a section at the end of our show where a guest sort of recommends his favorite movies or shows and documentaries, books. What are some of your favorite books?
I really favorite book that's interesting. My favorite book recently I read is it's called The Life Van Gogh. It's a really, really thick book. It's about his life and his letter, based on his letters, based on the things. It shows the dynamics of his life. It's basically incredible. Recently the book is incredible. I love this book, and I'm planning to read it again. The movies, I love documentary. I watch a lot of documentaries.
What are some of your most recent ones or your favorite ones?
I think it's there is a documentary called For Grace. If you're interested in like Horeca, food and beverage industry, For Grace is the Joseph Duffy is the Michelin star chef, and they shows the process how he opened this restaurant in Chicago. So I think it show how his work ethic and the dedication of the things is really good.
It's not he's not the founder of Alinea?
Yeah. That's Alinea guy is
different.
It's there in the documentary now. So he's actually basically the maestro of this guy. So I love Alinea guy. He's amazing teacher, I think. And another one is the if you love wine, and I think it's Somm. It's about how to become a master sommelier. All these candidates competing to get the diploma, which is considered the hardest diploma in the entire world. And also, it's another series, same series, is Somm Into the Bottle. It's basic information about wine. I think it's also very good. I enjoyed so much. And movie-wise, I really, I don't know. When I was the first really striking movie that I was when I was 10, 11 years old, the Schindler's List came out, and I watched it. It was still in my head, like
black and white.
Yeah, the black and white. That was crazy. Steven Spielberg's movie. I think it's really legendary movie. I think I watched it like 5-6 times, and that movie I really like. And then recent movies I love the Parasite, the Korean movie. Because it shows really the Korean society, the problems and all the dynamics. So I really like the movie.
What's his name?
Bong Joon-ho.
Bong Joon-ho. Yeah, I mean, he's it's very interesting. Like he became a worldwide known director. By not adapting to the Western taste, for example.
Exactly.
Right? He was just being himself. He was making film for Korean audience. If all his films are like that.
Yeah, I think
it's how they cross the chasm and become
exactly. I think that's the key. I think is if you're in Central Asia, we gotta show what Central Asia is.
Yeah.
We don't show what
Western, America is like.
Yeah, it's like when it's the same. Like when Americans comes here, we gotta invite them to our Kazakh restaurant instead of like, oh, you're from America, let's go to steakhouse.
Let's eat burgers. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like you're America, but you probably don't like Kazakh food. Maybe let's go to burger place. He would be appreciative. No, absolutely opposite. I think we gotta show what we have.
You've been to Sandık, Kazakh cuisine?
I think so. Yeah. It's very like
Yeah, it's now we finally have like a place to go and that.
Yeah.
I have one movie recommendation. You earlier said that you can sit like this only when you sell drugs. And I remembered film Extreme Job. It's about police station who were like spying for bad guys, and they opened a Korean restaurant, and their business were really successful. They started, they forget about their job police and started cooking chicken. It's called Extreme Job.
It can be a sort of a background movie in your restaurants.
Yeah. So there's a lot of documentaries. I think is the government in South Korea, they are always encouraging people to do business. So I think this is good and bad things. So like 30% of Korean population have their own business, which is very high.
Yep.
Normally like less than 15% of the population in many countries. So that means everybody's sort of doing business.
When it comes to travel, 3 destinations you would love to visit for the first time. You haven't been to those places, but you would love to visit. Anything in your bucket list?
Definitely. I'd love to go to Kenya. That's like African continent. I haven't been. That's definitely my number 1 on the list. Number 2 is Antarctica. I couldn't go. I almost went there because 90% of the ship they living from Ushuaia, south of Patagonia. I was there, and then I couldn't afford back the time. But definitely Antarctica is definitely my and if it's another country that I would love to go is probably like I would love to go to this is basically fairly easy. I want to go to the Scandinavia, like Greenland or Denmark, Norway, that area where I haven't been there. So
very cool. Thank you, Chihoon. It was a wonderful conversation. Thank you for being patient. I know this was like this is probably the longest interview you've ever done.
Yeah, it's the longest interview, but it was really fun. Actually, it feels like it's not enough, but I'm just kidding. Today actually my partner Shane's birthday.
Oh,
so yeah,
we're sorry.
No. It's like
I had no idea.
You'll
be back congratulating your friend super soon. At the very end, we have a guest asking a question to our audience. Anything you would love to know?
I don't know anything like. What type of, because we have some Korean restaurants here. What type of Korean restaurant you would like to see in Almaty, like to see in Kazakhstan?
Meaning, what Korean restaurant doesn't exist here, or
maybe it doesn't exist. Or
you would like to please, like basically you're saying, describe your ideal Korean restaurant.
Yeah, describe your ideal Korean restaurants that I can open something.
Gotcha. That's a good one. So describe your ideal Korean restaurant. What problems do you see with Korean restaurants in Almaty right now? What are you not happy with? And that would be the sort of ingredients which enter Chihoon's brain, and then the output will be the ultimate Korean restaurant. Everyone will go to.
Can I have one more question?
Please.
So, do you think it's a good idea to open Korean and Central Asian fusion restaurant? For example, like kimchi lagman, bulgogi mantui.
Sort of like it's like mixed in one dish.
So it's like a Central Asian dish with a Korean like inspiration. For example, like bulgogi mantui. You know, it's like mantui but instead of bulgogi.
Kimchi plov.
Lagman, like kimchi plov we have. So what do you think? Do you think people would react, or people would think that it's gonna be weird?
Interesting. Question number 2. What do you think of having a fusion of Korean and Central Asian cuisine? The best answers will give them a T-shirt.
And I have some gifted too. Yeah, I can give some gift too as well.
And some gifts, some surprise gifts from Chihoon.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Chihoon. This was a pleasure.
It was very nice. Yeah. It's very nice to talk.
This was another episode of Envictorial Podcast. Be so good, we cannot ignore you.